and save up to $500 on top-rated brands like Sealy and Sleepy's.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzzed driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, "I'm a catch," more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You want more local content from Dayton's ESPN radio station 1410 Wing AM? Make sure you subscribe to the WING 1410 Dayton YouTube channel, where you can watch all your local shows live or go back and rewatch previous episodes of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, the Keith Byers Show, Talking Out Loud with Sully, and more. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com. We're live. We're local. We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, happy Tuesday. Welcome in. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Welcome in. Buckle up. 3 full hours coming your way. We got Reds baseball tonight. We'll talk about your Cincinnati Reds coming up here in just a little bit. We'll also, of course, talk about the Alliance. The Alliance that was formed, of course, between the ACC, the Big 10, not the Big 12, the PAC12. The Big 12, what's going on with the Big 12, right? Like, they have to feel kind of strange here. Like, they're not even invited to the parties. Like, you're just sitting at home, like, you just got dumped by your girl. No one's inviting you out to the parties. No one's trying to make you feel, you know, when you get dumped and all your friends, they start inviting you places like, come on, let's get his mind off of it.
Me dumped?
The poor Big 12, they've been dumped. And nobody is there trying to make them feel better. Don't you find this odd that this alliance does not include them? I mean, is that basically just a sign, right? I mean, you would have to think that they were at least spoken to about this, right? That they were invited to this. Is the Big 12 folding? What is going on here? Why would they not be a part of these talks? If anything, if there's a conference out there that desperately needed this alliance more than any of the other three, was the Big 12. We could talk about the scheduling aspect of everything that came out in the news today, but to me, the big news about today's alliance forming and even the conversation, like we haven't had this conversation, why is the Big 12 not involved in this at all? Are they about to fold? I keep seeing these questions. Who should the Big 12 add? Who should the Big 12 add? Is the Big 12 even a thing? Mm-hmm. And if you're an American Conference team right now, if you're Cincinnati, if you're UCF or Memphis, whoever, do you look at the Big 12 and think, oh, man, that's an upgrade right there? Like, I feel like that's a shaky foundation. I would stick where I'm at in the American before I'd go over there. Why aren't they involved in these conversations? That's really what I want to know.
I think that the Big 10, ACC, and Pac-12 are looking at them like, well, y'all let the
ruin
SEC,
this for the rest of us.
You let the SEC take your anchor teams. You guys let Texas have their own network, causing Colorado to bolt to the Pac-12, causing Nebraska to bolt to the Big 10. Y'all let this happen because y'all leadership bows down to Texas, who hasn't done anything outside of the Mac Brown years with Vince Young and Colt McCoy. So the winning program in your conference, Oklahoma, like if they were to act like this, then that's one thing. But the, mediocre to average team in your conference gets the, sway of the land. They get so much control. So I think it's kind of like they're being iced out. Like, hey, man, hopefully the SEC scoops up the rest of y'all because they're kind of being shut out.
Kind of just that it?
Yeah, they're just being shut out. Like, I mean, we've played basketball before when you go to the park and you get picked up and nobody knows you and you don't get past the ball. You're just there to play defense. Like, that's how they're looking at me. They're looking like they're frozen out of the game. Like, hey, man, you can't play with us. What's that scene on Forrest Gump? Can't sit here. That's how they're looking right now. That's how they're looking. They're looking like nobody wants to play with them now that they don't have Oklahoma and Texas.
But the Big 12 is silent. You are why this is happening. Why are you silent? Even if you voice your displeasure with the not being invited to the cool kids party, let people know that you're not happy. You're just like, I mean, they're just a punching bag. They're getting hit left and right, and they're not even swinging back. It does not make any sense.
The loudest people from the Big 12 is Oklahoma State. They're the ones that sent ESPN a cease and desist. They're the ones speaking up for themselves. So the team that I'm looking at that's going to land on their feet is Oklahoma State, because they're the ones saying, like, no, this is not going to happen to us, because they are a decent program in football. They are a decent program at basketball. So I think Oklahoma State is about to look around the conference and say, you know what? We tried to play the Big 12 us card. Apparently, Kansas, y'all don't want to play. Apparently, West Virginia, y'all don't want to speak up for yourselves. I think Oklahoma State is going to be the next team to vote to maybe the SEC or the Big 10. Like, they're going to be on the way out, because they're the only team from that conference speaking up for themselves. Everybody else is just kind of letting their conference do all the talking for them. Oklahoma State is the only conference speaking up for themselves. So, I mean, that takes a pair to send ESPN a cease and desist. I know anybody can sue anybody over anything nowadays, but think about it. Like, you have a contract with ESPN to televise not only your basketball games, but your football games, baseball games on ESPN Plus and everything like that. To send them a cease and desist letter, that takes a pair. So I respect what Oklahoma State is doing, and I think that Oklahoma State is going to end up landing on their feet somewhere else. I don't think that the Big 12 is going to last too much longer, because it doesn't seem like the people in charge of the Big 12 want it to last too much longer.
And I guess that's my point. It really bottles down to that. I mean, has the Big 12 given up? They're not even fighting. They can't even sit here. Why? I mean, the reason. So I think Shaw just said, what would the Big 12 say that would make a difference? Right now, it's all about perception. What was that?
I said, that's a good point.
No, the contract that you signed to do this show is you never give Shaw a compliment. Nothing Shaw says, even if he makes a good point, Shaw never makes it. No, Shaw, you do bring a good point. So what could they have said to make a difference? This is about positioning. We're talking about what can the Big 12 do? What teams are they going to add? Right now, you're not alluring to anybody. Right. If they went to Cincinnati and UCF and said, why don't you two come over here? They're going to say no. But the Big 12 right now could at least be saying, what the hell, guys? Like, they could at least be trying to. Again, everything is about public perception. It doesn't matter what's actually happening. It's about what you can make it look like is happening. And you could be the victim here. We all love the victim, right? And that sounds bad. That's not what I meant. But no, like the underdog, how are they going to come from behind? How are they going to fix and salvage this situation? Like, they're like, if they played the card of, we're the victim here, how, we need help, sympathy for us, help. We will be there for you. They're not even doing that. They're not even trying to act like they're a victim here. That's why Oklahoma State had to be the one to send the cease and desist, because now the Big 12 technically did send the cease and desist a while back, but that was more so just that was just kind of shots fired to let them know that, hey, we're not going to put up with this. How do you go from sending a cease and desist to the mothership to silence? Yeah. Like, right now, you should be very loud. Even if what you're saying is falling on deaf ears, the point is you need to be heard. You need to be out there. You need to be sending out smoke signals that, hey, we're fighting to stay alive here. Come help us be a part of the reemergence of the Big 12. They're not even doing that. So now they're just holding 8 teams hostage. They're holding Oklahoma State hostage and Kansas hostage and everything. I have a good friend of mine. She works at a dental office, and I guess 3 other girls have all left this dental office to go take a new job over here. And this dental office is just furious because 3 of their top workers have just left to go work over here. And now they're threatening to sue, and they're ticked off, and they're making the girls, they put in their 2 weeks, and they're making them do the 2 weeks, and they're making their life hell. And I'm just like, that's the Big 12 right now. Instead of just saying, okay, what do we got to do to make us look better so that people don't want to leave us? Instead of that dentist office taking responsibility for why all these girls want to leave and go take jobs elsewhere, they're going to sit there and say, well, we're going to make their life hell. We're going to sue them. We're going to do this. I know it's a very weird analogy, but it's someone that I'm close with and I'm watching go through this. Like she has to go finish her 2 weeks and she's dealing with the cold shoulder from her bosses. And she's trying to do the right thing by doing the 2 weeks thing. And she's still getting crapped on, but she's leaving because better opportunity over here, not a good opportunity where she's at. The Big 12's doing the same thing. They're not even fighting for you. They're not even like trying to say, hey, we're sorry that you're leaving. We're sorry this. No, they're just blaming them. They're pointing fingers, cease and desist. They're suing everybody. What is wrong with the Big 12? I'm more disappointed in them than this. Now, the press conference today, I thought was, look, this press conference didn't need to exist. I don't think that the fluff needed to exist. They were building this up as if they hit this major announcement. We're about to just lay the hammer down. Oh, yeah, SEC, you think you're bad? Well, wait till you see what we're going to do. I don't even know what they announced today. There's nothing to, I mean, look at this. If you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, where's the camera? So look at all that print. That's all that print. Look at all that print. Man, I can't even work the camera. Look at all that. This is a long press release from the ACC and the Big 10 and the Pac12 to basically say nothing. It's a lot of wording. It's a lot of fluff. It's a lot of, I mean, they're talking about their, where'd it go? Their 41 academic institutions of higher education, and they're doing all the typical word fluff. They're trying to make this all official. None of this means anything. The ACC, Big 10, and Pac-12 conferences include world-leading academic institutions, innovative research that benefits communities around the world. Do you think anyone that is tuning into your football game cares about all of the great things that you're doing for your community? And I mean that is with as much respect as possible. Stop feeding us fluff. Stop feeding us anything that does not have to do with what are you doing to counter what the SEC did. Because the SEC, they're no offense to them, they're not working hard. They're just being the SEC. They're just sitting there. Everything's falling in their lap. And they're just like, okay, cool. Yeah, okay, we're fine. We're fine. And the ACC, the Big 10, the Pac-12 announced that they're going to form this alliance. The perception is that this alliance was formed to counter what the SEC did. Now, by the SEC getting Oklahoma and Texas, you have to ask yourself, if this alliance, and again, it doesn't matter what the intention was, it's about public perception. The public perception is that this was formed to counter what the SEC did. Did this accomplish that? I don't even know what it's trying to do. It's a lot of words. It's basically a PSA. It's basically look at us, look at us. I don't care if you're the number one world leader in cancer research. I mean that respectfully. How does that help you in your battle against the SEC from a sports standpoint? I'm not making light of serious situations, but what does that have to do with this? It means absolutely nothing. So this is the Football Scheduling Alliance, Kev. The Football Scheduling Alliance will feature additional attractive matchups across the three conferences while continuing to honor historic rivalries and the best traditions of college football. Now, I heard an interview earlier today that these teams, that they have to wait until a lot of these contracts are up before they can really start forming some of these these interconference matchups between the Big 10, ACC, and whatnot. The contracts they're talking about are their games with the SEC. Mm-hmm. Well, Alabama and Ohio State, they don't kick off till 2027, 2028. It's 2021. The Georgia series is 2030 or something crazy like that. Like something I can't. Like that. So do we have to wait 10 years before we start to see these games start to form? My big thing is this. If this was done to counter the SEC, then this has failed miserably. Hang on, all right. It's failed miserably. If this was done to counter the SEC, it's failed miserably. Look how quickly things change in college athletics. A year ago, we would have scoffed at the idea of Texas and Oklahoma being in the SEC. And yet here we are, less than 365 days later, and the Big 12 is about to collapse. Texas and Oklahoma are SEC teams where it just means more. And now you have this weird alliance that they're aligning to basically say nothing. I think this was a waste of everybody's time. I joked earlier that, Kanye is making everyone wait just like these three conferences did. At least when Kanye finally drops his album, everyone's going to feel satisfied. I'm not satisfied with what these three conferences just announced today. It's a lot of fluff. It's a lot of waste of space and time and print and ink. My bosses should fire me for wasting the ink on this paper I just printed to bring for the show today.
For me, it's a couple things. One, the reason the SEC is perceived to care more is because they make no bones about it why they're here. They're here to play football and occasionally throw a good basketball team in a tournament like a powerhouse that is Kentucky or something like that. Or maybe, excuse me.
You had Florida with Billy Donovan that was there, and I feel like I just got tagged in, and that was a hell of a save. Tag team champions.
Appreciate you. So, yeah, I think it's like that. I think that the SEC makes no bones about it. Like, they're not out here talking about like they're like supremely academic institutions like a Northwestern or Duke or Stanford or USC or UCLA. Like, they don't play that game. They don't ever try to play that game, even though they have Vanderbilt, who's their one in Missouri. Like, those are the flag bearers for the conference, like that are deemed as academic schools and things of that nature. Well, they have two where, the Big Ten has like five, you know what I'm saying? Where the Pac-12 has like four teams, like where the ACC has five schools that are deemed like supremely academics. So they don't play that card. They know why they're here. And that's the thing that the Big Ten, Pac-12, and ACC are struggling with. They're trying to still toe that line of saying like, well, we are a college, we are an institution of higher learning. We got to make sure that education is in there somewhere. So that's one. Two, I think that this is a lot of fluff that's in this. Like, it really doesn't get to the meat and potatoes of why everybody's reading the article until much later in the article about scheduling and everything like that. I just think that a lot of this stuff could have had a more of a wow factor if we didn't know last week. We knew all this last week. We knew that it was going to be a scheduling thing. Is that just because how media is nowadays, where, there's rumblings and then people have their sources and then their sources tell them and then they post it on Twitter. So we knew exactly what this was going to be last week. We knew it was going to be some type of scheduling alliance, which was great. We were pumped about it last week. Like, oh man, think about some of these matchups. Think about like, oh man, we would get Ohio State and Clemson at Clemson or at the shoe. Like, that's great. That's awesome. And now the thrill is gone because we already knew about it. We knew. So now you make your official statement and now we have to actually wait until we get those games. So the reason why we were hyped last week, we're not going to get any of that for years to come. So the statement falls flat because we knew about it already. Because I remember last week we were gassed up about like the potential matchups. We were trying to schedule the matchups too. We were talking about how the ACC Big Ten Challenge does it. Like, oh man, you could get liking teams. You could get a Wisconsin and a North Carolina. That would be awesome. They're like kind of same level team. That would create a good matchup. Florida State, Michigan. Oh man, at the Big House. Oh man, that would be awesome. But now it falls flat because we realize like, hold on, we got to get out of the contracts. And we know that Ohio State has Georgia. We know Ohio State has Alabama in multiple years. And those are down the line in 2030 something, which is a decade away. So you mean to tell me we got to wait 15 years before this even happens? I doubt that we have to wait that long. I hope we don't have to wait that long. Let me rephrase that, because at this rate, we have no idea what's going to happen. I think that's why this thing falls flat, because we're starting to realize like, yeah, it's a cool alliance because you guys are going to be scheduling big time matchups. We'll definitely be here for it, but we know we're going to have to wait an eternity for them. Yeah, look, at the end of the day, though, they're now. So in this article from I just spoke with Adam Rittenberg. He's actually going to be on with us on Thursday. Friday, because Thursday. Yeah. Anyways, besides that, Adam Rittenberg with ESPN put out this article earlier today highlighting some of the, what to expect with this press conference that was going to be coming up. But it says that the bottom line is that there is no immediate or direct impact today on college football with this alliance. Well, then what the hell is the point? And now they could sit here and say, oh, this wasn't done. And it does. All three of the conferences try to say this was not done in response to the SEC. Then why now? And why are you excluding the SEC? Right. Why are you not in? Then I have other questions. Why are you not including the Big 12? Oh, is it like what you said? Are you punishing the Big 12? Well, what are you punishing the Big 12 for? Because I thought this wasn't in any kind of reactionary response to what the SEC just got with. This is very petty. This is very Mean Girls. This is very high schoolish. This is very pointless. Like, I don't understand the Mean Girls. I think it would be great if they pulled the Mean Girls, because the Mean Girls would have told you exactly what it was. But they're not telling you what it is. We know what this is a retort to what the SEC did, but they're just hiding behind the veil of education and, like-minded institutions and language like that, instead of saying like, yeah, they just took two powerhouse programs and made their conference even better. So we got to make sure that we're buttoned up on our end. So we're aligning with the ACC and Pac-12. But what I mean is this alliance, this has done nothing in regards to if the SEC calls, let's say, a Michigan
Hey, we want you. We want you bad. Get over here. What do we got to do to get you? Michigan's going to be like, well, don't talk to me. We're a part of this alliance. No, this alliance has nothing to do with that. They will bounce too. So I guess my point is, let's say Texas, Oklahoma never went to the SEC, and then this comes out. I still think it would be a big deal. We talked about it last week. Like, we were more enamored with the scheduling possibilities, not so much the alliance possibility. The alliance technically means nothing. Here's what I also find interesting. If you look at the college football landscape, because that's what this is spearheaded by, this isn't about athletics as a whole. When it talks about all the hundreds of sports combined between all the schools, let's be honest. If you don't have an elite football program, or at least a semi-interesting basketball program, you're not included in this conversation or this pact here. They are saying that this is a historic alliance announcement. No, it's not. The historic alliance announced today between the Pac-12, ACC, and the Big 10 is really being spearheaded by the Pac-12 with the goal to expand the playoffs. What is this even about? Kev, I have no clue what this is even about. I don't know. Like, there's some little nuggets in here that I'm like, okay, I kind of like the scheduling idea, but then it goes on to say that this doesn't impact college football today or in the near future. Then what is the point of this? It was a waste of everybody's time. And the fact that the Pac-12 is spearheading this, why are you letting your slowest runner lead the way in this relay race here? Like, why are you letting them lead off with the baton? Like, that's what I don't get here. Why are they leading it? The Pac-12, honestly, they're fortunate, because if you would have asked me a year ago to rank if you were to do a power index of the conferences, obviously the SEC first, the Big 10 second, I would have put the ACC third, I would have put the Big 12 fourth, and I would have put the Pac-12 at the bottom. So the fact that you are letting, from a perception standpoint, from an impact standpoint, from really a underachieving standpoint, the Pac-12, I think the Pac-12 is more so underachieved than any other power conference out there when you talk about the money sports being football. But they're spearheading this. Kevin Warren, ACC, step up. Why are you letting them lead the charge here? That's what I just don't understand. I know it's the money side of the country. That's where, the USC, the brands and everything. But like I said, if this was done, and they're saying it's not, but let's be honest, if Texas, Oklahoma never went to the SEC, this alliance doesn't form. So they can't convince me that this alliance is not a rebuttal or a counter to what the SEC did. And if I'm the SEC, I'm mocking them even more now. So you form this alliance. It's not really an alliance. That doesn't really impact us at all. It's not taking money out of our pocket. We're still going to keep the games on the schedule. We're going to keep our rivalry games, so that's not going to change. We're going to stay at a 14 playoff. And if we do expand to 12, we'll dominate that too. I would love to know how the SEC is weaker today than it was yesterday. And the answer is it's not. It's not. So we're going to have a scheduling alliance, but we don't know when that's going to kick in. We're not going to get rid of the SEC games because that's what was perceived to be the case. We got to leave those on because it's, money. And then it's like, we won't schedule anymore with the SEC moving forward. Oh, really? If you're Michigan or Penn State and Alabama says, hey, we'll roll Tide, baby, we'll bring the Tide into your stadium, they're going to turn that down? Like, is everyone on board with this? Is this did all 41 institutions come together and say, yeah, we're on board with that, let's shun the SEC? No. You mean to tell me that those schools are going to turn down an opportunity to welcome in an LSU or an Alabama or a Georgia? No. So, Kev, I just don't get it. I know we like nuggets of this, but this was a waste of time. I don't know how they're better. I don't know how the SEC's weaker. It was a waste of everyone's time. But at least it did allow us to talk about something for a half hour. So I'll give them that they at least provided that opportunity right there. So there you go. All right. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Urban Meyer, how long will he survive in Jacksonville? We'll talk about that coming up around the corner. LSU has officially announced that if you want to go watch the Tigers, you better be vaxxed. Got to get vaccinated to come watch the Tigers.
Get that poke.
Everyone's all worried. LSU, they're making a mistake. LSU is just the first to do this. I hate to break it to you, but it's only a matter of time before the Buckeyes announce this. I'm really curious to see if the University of Dayton over here is going to announce it for their basketball games coming up. I'm really curious. They're going to wait to the last second to announce that. They want to see everyone else fall first. It's only a matter of time. And this isn't an LSU story. They're just the first to do it. This is an athletic story. So we'll get to that.
Oregon State, LSU, those are the ones that I've heard so far.
So LSU's not the first to do it. But either way, yeah, it's really not about the schools that are doing it. It's just about how long until your school announces that they are going to do that. So we've talked about the alliance. We'll get to this Urban Meyer conversation conversation. Over under. The Reds back in action tonight. A big series that they kick off with the Brewers later on tonight. They're on the road. We all know what happened the last time the Reds were on the road playing Milwaukee. Things went well, but the last time they played Milwaukee, things did not go well. Which Reds team's going to show up later on tonight? We have a lot to get to. We're live on Facebook. Search The Justin Kinner Show. Jump in on the conversation in the chat section. Of course, you can find us on our YouTube page as well. Our YouTube page, our subscriber numbers have gone up a lot, so we appreciate that. So continue to be a part of that total.
Angle, by the way.
Yeah, Kev worked on that camera angle, so we weren't seeing the top of his head. So there you go. All right, folks, we'll be back in a moment. It's The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Are we ready for the 5:30 pickup?
Cam's Courier Service's newest hire delivered his resignation.
Hey, Ray, who's handling?
She now needs next day shipping on a new driver.
All these boxes here, are they ingoing or are they outgoing?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. With Indeed Instant Match, we immediately show you quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed meet your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
At the American Lung Association, we're fighting for a day when we can all breathe easier. We're fighting for clear skies over every city and healthy lungs throughout the country. We're fighting to free millions of Americans from the addictive grip of tobacco and the devastating effects of lung disease. The American Lung Association isn't just fighting for air, we're fighting for all the things that make it worth breathing, and we can use your help. See what you can do at fightingforair.org.
Over the last year and a half, we all learned some hard lessons. One of the most important is that you can't put off the inevitable. Hi, this is Mark Davis at Dayton Memorial Park Cemetery and Mausoleums. No matter how hard it is to think about, we all need a final resting place. When pre-planning with your funeral home, please remember that cemetery arrangements must also be made. Call us today at 937-890-1831 or visit our website at DaytonMemorialPark.com. And remember, Dayton Memorial Park is a beautiful place to celebrate life.
King Crimson, live. The Music is Our Friend Tour. September 2nd at Broy's Music Center at the Heights. With special guests, the Zappa Band. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com and the Rose Music Center box office. Two legendary bands at the height of their power. King Crimson, together with the Zappa Band.
Goodyear believes in the power of moving forward. No matter if it's on the track, the court, or the field, movement makes us want to be more. It pushes us to go further, to show the world what we can do. Movement has the unique ability to change our perspective, to challenge us, to work for a better tomorrow. Movement can even bring us together when we're still. Because if we're focused on the next move, we don't have to worry about what's behind us. Goodyear, more driven.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide, with plans starting at just $35 a month with no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for only $299, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required, actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Hi, this is Sales Manager Jason High of Germain Honda Beaver Creek, personally inviting you to take advantage of the 0% financing on the Honda HR-V, Passport, and Pilot. Germain Honda has over 200 new Hondas to choose from, including the redesigned 2021 Honda Ridgeline and the 2022 Honda Odyssey, plus over 30 of the brand new 2022 Honda Civics to choose from. Now that's a selection no one else in the region can claim. Route 35 just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Staples Connect has everything for back to school at amazing prices. Right now, Staples comp books, 2-pocket poly folders, 24-pack Crayola crayons, and 8-pack Pep Rally No. 2 pencils are just 50 cents each. So your student won't just be ready for school, they'll be first day of school pop quiz ready.
It's showtime.
Visit your local Staples store or staples.com/back to school today and get more than ready for school with amazing prices for everything on your list. Ends 9/18, limit 30, prices may vary online.
It's like I blinked and suddenly all my business shifted to e-commerce.
Now my business hours are whenever my customers need me.
My customers want everything now and faster than ever. It's a whole different world.
Your business is changing. The United States Postal Service is changing with it. We're bringing you fast, reliable shipping nationwide, and we're bringing it right when your customers need it. Let's discover new routes. Visit USPS.com/new routes. The United States Postal Service. Priority, you.
Staples Connect has everything to help you get ready for back to school with amazing prices for everything on your list. Visit your local Staples store, staplesconnect.com, and be more than ready for school. Staples.
Don't miss the ESPN Dayton Glacier Softwater High School Football Game of the Week every Friday night, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers and Justin Kinner will have the call all season long. Check out wingam.com for the complete schedule and to stream the games live. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, we're back. My goodness.
What's going on over there, yo?
I try to get on Facebook, and of course, the volume takes over. So I was trying to figure out how to shut that off. You know, old people and their cell phones can never figure them out. All right, we welcome you back out. Well, no, we're not even in the second hour yet. It's only segment 2. But this is a complete fumble from beginning to end. My goodness, what is wrong with you, Kinner?
That happened.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. We welcome you back. So big news announced earlier today that LSU has ruffled a little feathers. All right. And, you know, what's interesting about this is that everyone not overreacts. Of course, it's overreaction, but everyone reacts real aggressively towards this as if they didn't see it coming. This really isn't that surprising what the LSU Tigers announced earlier today. LSU will require all Tiger Stadium guests 12 years of age and older to provide proof of vaccination or a negative COVID-19 PCR test taken within 72 hours prior to entry. Now, again, people are angry. People are upset. That's it. Not going. Not going to go. Really? How many LSU games are you going to go to anyways? I see that. I mean, so I said it's only a matter of time before Ohio State announces this. I do feel like that's going to be the case. I don't think that's a hot take. I'm not pushing my liberal agenda or anything like that. Like, this isn't liberal or conservative. This isn't Democrat, Republican. This is the damn pandemic. I don't know what you want me to say. But when I see this, you know, LSU, all of a sudden it's ramping up. I mean, these teams are becoming a lot more aggressive, not just college, but the NFL. I mean, concerts across the board. There's a lot of, you know, concerts coming up at Riverbend and Cincinnati, you know, at the Rose here, where a lot of them you have to be vaccinated to attend. Now, I don't know how the Rose works here in Dayton. I know that as far as I'm concerned, last I checked, that that Riverbend is not necessarily saying you have to be vaccinated. The Hall & Oates concert last night, you didn't have to be vaccinated to go to that. But I do believe from like Maroon 5 and some others you have to be that are coming up, and it's based on the concert that's coming in. They're making that decision. So, but everyone's losing their minds. They're freaking out. They're getting mad, and I'm very interested to see what happens when Ohio State announces this, because I don't think it's a matter of, this is my opinion, I don't think it's a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And I don't want to get into your thoughts on the Google MD machine of what you think about. I don't care about your opinion about COVID. Let's just put it that way. You don't care about my opinion on COVID. I definitely 1,000,000% don't care about your opinion about COVID at this point, because really there's so much misinformation out there that even the actual information out there, it is what it is. But I'm really at the point now where when I do read these headlines, I'll actually kind of a little controversial take here. Not really, but I don't like it. I don't like that they're making you show the Vax card to get into a football game. My thing is you can't sit there and basically tell everybody that we don't think playing a game in front of 100,000 fans is dangerous, and then also tell them to bring their vaccination card. Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't pack 100,000 people in a stadium and then say, but the only way you can get here is if you're vaccinated, because it's not, vaccination isn't keeping you from getting it. The 100,000 people attending games could still get it. Mm-hmm. I actually, even though I'm not a fan of this either, because, it can be a little difficult at this many people going to get tested at one time. The idea of bringing a negative COVID test to get into a game makes way more sense to me than showing your vaccination record. I don't think the vaccination record thing makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. I think it just creates more, because what happens if there's an outbreak amongst 100,000 vaccinated people? That's going to lead to more counterproductive arguments and counterproductive headlines against the importance of getting the vaccine. If you put 100,000 vaccinated people into a stadium and there's an outbreak amongst the vaccinated, those headlines are going to do more damage than anything of increasing the urgency to go get it. So this isn't my opinion about COVID or anything. This is my opinion about having to show proof of the vaccination to get into a stadium. The other thing is, mine is just this little piece of paper. I've seen like all these headlines of people selling them on YouTube, or not YouTube. I'm sorry, if you could do that. Interesting. eBay and stuff. I'm like, what in the world? Are they going to be holding them up to the light to make sure they're real? How many? We're talking about, you're letting 100,000 people into a stadium, Kev. Are you really checking every single one? How many of those are real? How many of those are fake? I don't want to get into a controversial discussion about COVID, but at the end of the day, I do find this kind of silly. I see Clay Travis call it cosmetic theater a lot, and I don't agree with him on a lot, but I agree with him on this. It's cosmetic theater to bring your vaccination card somewhere. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like this idea. If the Browns and Bengals announce it, maybe they have. When Ohio State announces it, I'm not going to be angry. I'm not going to go on Facebook and let everyone know my stance. I'm just basically sharing that I think it's kind of silly. I think it's more being done for presentation purposes than anything. Because like I said, you cannot tell me that we want 100,000 people to fill up our stadiums to watch a football game, that we think it's safe for that to happen. But, we need you to show your vaccination card. Well, why do we need to show that? If you're saying that it's safe to go attend a football game, why do we need to show that? Because that doesn't necessarily mean you can't get it. It means you have a less likelihood of getting it. Or if you get it, it won't be as severe. So, look, regardless of your opinion on this, I just think it's silly. If you want to have people provide the negative COVID test to get in, I think that makes more sense. I still don't like it, but it makes way more sense to do that than to just say, oh, yeah, I'm vaccinated, everything's good. Because right now the numbers are high, and that's even amongst the vaccinated. So that's where I'll end it at that. Your thoughts?
I love it. I love it for this fact and this reason alone. The reason a lot of the college football programs and NFL programs are pushing their players to get vaccinated is because they want to put people in the stadiums. And there's a lot of pressure from the NFL to have the players vaccinated. So I'm all about, if we got to do it, everybody else should do it, because that's the way we can kind of get this thing over with. So there's been a lot of pressure from the NFL. If your team is vaccinated to a certain percentage, you're more lax on your testing protocols. You look at the Atlanta Falcons, the whole organization has been vaccinated, so they're allowed to do a lot more than other teams. They can walk freely around the building without masks on, things of that nature, and practices are a little bit different and everything like that. So they're putting incentives in for the players and for the organizations and teams to be vaccinated. Same thing in college football. I believe the marker is 85%. If you're at 85%, there aren't weekly tests for COVID. They're like every other week, so that quote unquote stops you from getting a negative test, because we're not going to be testing as much as we were before. So that means all right, we won't get a game postponed, or in this case forfeited. So if the players are doing it, and if we're trying to get rid of COVID, then let's start acting like, all right, if there's only 100 players on a college football team and 55 players on an NFL team, and we're packing a NFL stadium with 70,000 people and a college football stadium with 100,000 people, well, there's more people out there that haven't had the vaccine. So if this is going to incentivize people to get that poke, then I'm all with it. I'm with it because if you want to go see your favorite team that bad, you'll go do it. And if this is going to get more people to do it, I'm with it because it's not just one set of people that quote unquote need to get the vaccine to quote unquote get this over with. It's going to take a community. So if you want to be a part of a community, then we should go ahead and do it.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it just to me doesn't, if it's being used as an incentive thing, like, hey, because I saw, so here's the other deal too. Being vaccinated and being 100% vaccinated are two different things. If I get my vaccination today, I'm not 100% vaccinated.
Right.
You have to wait, 2 weeks or whatever it is.
Your second poke.
So, and then I've heard like at the Raiders games that they will be, you can get vaccinated at the games.
Yep.
So you're saying on the website, I went and checked, it said you have to be 100%, like you have to be fully vaccinated to get into the games. But then they're saying, but you can get vaccinated at the games. Well, then what? So you stand outside Allegiant Stadium, get the poke, and then have to wait 2 weeks before you can come in? I don't understand that. I don't understand that one, but you're going to go pay, $100 for parking to walk up to get the poke, then have to wait 2 weeks before that vaccination kicks in for you to get clearance to go into Allegiant Stadium. Like I said, if this is being done as an incentive thing, then okay, fine. I get that. I can get on board with that if, as far as that's concerned. And look, a year ago at this time, we had no clue what the heck was going on. You could still argue that some people still don't know what the hell is going on. But the bottom line is a year ago, everyone was so desperate to have sports. I can't believe we might not have a football season. I think at this time last year, we didn't think there would be a season, right, Kev?
Right.
When did the Big Ten officially announce that they would end up having a season? I can't remember.
September.
So it was like at this point last year.
I think at this point last year, we had just hit the mark of
no football
for the Big Ten. I think it was what they announced the schedule, and then they said, 3 days later, we're not going to have a season. Then September comes around, we're going to have a season. So lots of hokey pokey, and no pun intended. So, but a year ago at this time, everyone was freaking out. No football. Man, I can't wait till we get this taken care of. When people have said a year ago, can't wait to get through this. Well, what does getting through this mean? Getting through this means getting to the point to where we have the proper, the proper rebuttal to COVID, which is of course this vaccine. Like I don't understand why now all of a sudden it's a year ago, we'll do anything to get through this. And now the message is, well, not that. Well, that is what gets you through it. So my point is this, I'm not saying I'm against being vaccinated. All I'm saying is I just don't like the idea of having to show the vaccination card to get into a stadium. I guess Matthew Hedrick on YouTube said last night at the Saints game, several people were denied entry when they didn't show their vaccination cards. And that's going to lead to a whole other list of things too. When you buy the tickets, I'm sure there's going to be in the fine print, just so you have to be vaccinated to show up. But what I want to know, for anyone that works security out there that has been told you have to check these things, and I don't think around here that's going to be a heavy population of that, how do you tell what's a real card and what's not? It's a flimsy piece of paper. Right.
How do you tell? I mean, how?
It's not like a driver's license.
So again, I could take mine, I could white out my name at the top, and I can write Kev Nash's name and make a copy, and then I'll white out Kev's name, and I'll put the next. We're going to do a contest on air. If you want a vaccination card, 10th caller, you win a vaccination card. Like, how do you prove that these are fake and real? Like, that's what I wanted. Like, this is what I have a problem. I just don't think this has all been fully thought out. What if you have a condition that won't allow you to get the vaccine? Is there going to be exceptions made for them? Are you going to have a doctor's note to go to the Bengals game? Are you going to have a doctor's note to go to the Buckeye game? What if they look at your doctor's note and say, that's not real, but then they'll just look at the other piece of paper and say, that's real? How do you distinguish the difference? So many questions, not enough answers. And by the way, this is why I also have a problem with that little alliance bull crap that they announced earlier. They're more obsessed with that than coming down with the universal decision across the board. LSU shouldn't be the bad guys here. Ohio State shouldn't be the bad guy here. Kevin Warren, you love being the bad guy. You should just say, hey, every Big Ten team has to have full, attendance is based on full vaccination.
Yep.
I think that's really what it needs to come down to. I am against the teams having to make this decision. I think that's messed up. It's once again the deflection of leadership, making them make the tough decisions, making them have to answer for it, making them be the bad guys. And that's the problem I have with this as well. This should not be, Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan State, they say you have to be vaxxed to go in, but Iowa, it's a free-for-all. No, It should be across the board. The Big Ten needs to make that decision. The SEC, like LSU, is getting ripped today. I think,
or the NCAA.
Or yeah, heaven forbid, right? Brian Staley on Facebook brings up a good point. He goes, actually, considering the location of the country that LSU is located in, it's a little surprising that they have come out and announced this. We expect that from a USC or a UCLA,
right?
Not an SEC team. So to Brian's point, yes, I guess you are right. That is a little surprising. And in that area over there, they're getting ripped. They're getting destroyed by their own fan base. And that's the problem. The SEC, you're doing yourself a disservice by making your teams be the bad guy. Let the conference itself be the bad guy. Sankey, Warren, these guys, they need to be the bad guys. They need to be the ones that take the heat, not the local athletic director or the school presidents. Like, that's the problem I have with this. That's why this alliance thing's full of crap. When they put in here, all we care about is safety. We care about this. But yet you're more worried about your teams jumping ship to the SEC or scheduling. You're not worried about the other stuff. You'll let I don't know. It is what it is. So, okay. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. 518-1410, 518-1410. If Ohio State announces that, and I don't think it's if, it's when, how are you going to react? Are you going to go to games? What if the Dayton Flyers, because there's no pressure for them right now to make that announcement with the basketball season being months away still. But what if the Dayton Flyers announce that you need to be fully vaxxed, that you need to show your vax card to get into a basketball game this upcoming season? 13,000 fans every night, every home game. You could sit there and say, well, then I'm not going. Then I'm not. Okay, that's fine. There'll be 500-600 people behind you waiting to take your seat, waiting to take your season ticket, waiting to take your $1 billion holding fee for your seat, whatever the heck it was. What happens then? That's really what I'm curious about, is what happens at that point when it hits us here a little bit more locally. We're talking about LSU. We're talking about Michigan. We're talking about the Raiders, not Wright State, but the the Las Vegas Raiders. What happens here locally when the Buckeyes announce it, when your Bengals announce it, when the Browns announce it, when UD announces it? That's what I want to know. 518-1410. You giving up your season tickets? You giving up your ticket? You paid a lot of money for that seat license. You're just going to give it up over that? Like that? How much is it worth to you? And that's really what it comes down to. That's what's being tested here, Kev, is how much is your everyday entertainment worth to you if you have to decide between going to a concert, going to a game, or getting vaccinated. That's really what it's going to come down to.
We got Scott online.
Scott, how are you, sir? Welcome.
I'm good. I was just screaming at the phone. I'm like, put me on.
You're on. Just don't cuss.
Well,
and we're good.
All right,
hold up. Are you vaccinated? Well, you got to be vaccinated to call into the show. Don't answer that. I'm just joking. Vaccinated. I'm just joking with you. But anyways, keep going.
I was in the Navy, dude. I had every vaccination you can imagine.
And you probably don't even know half of what's been put there. So there
the third day you're in boot camp, you step in on a line and two guys with air guns shoot like 100 vaccinations in your body.
Really?
That's just how it is. Yeah. Every military man knows that, and woman.
Okay.
Well, here's my thing. The NFL came out, and you should have brought this up. You guys are slackers. The NFL brought this up. They said, look, if anyone forfeits a game because of COVID, it's on them. They lose. If you don't show up with a healthy ball club and play the game, you lose. And that's what the NCAA needs to do. Because it's a load of crap for the fans. It's a load of crap for everybody. Remember last year when Ohio State only played so many games and all the SEC teams played all those extra games, and all year all we heard was, I don't know if Ohio State's for real. They haven't played enough games. We don't know if they're for real. I'm tired of that crap. And baseball teams, all kind of sports have had to deal with this. Let's get the shots and come out and say every league should get together and say, look, this is productive for us. It's going to make us money. The more games we play, it's all about the product. It used to be about collegiate, whatever, but it's about money now. And they should just come out every single league today and say, yeah, you don't want to come to the game because you're not inoculated? Tough. There's like 1,000 Ohio State fans waiting in line for a seat. They are.
No, and I get that. And look, and this is what, and like I said earlier, at the end of the day, it's one of those things where I'm not giving my opinion on getting vaccinated or not getting vaccinated. My opinion is strictly on the programs or NFL or NBA teams saying you have to show this card to get into this game. The problem I have with that is like, I just think that's a step too far, because you're acting as if like everyone that crosses that threshold all of a sudden doesn't have it, won't spread it, that everyone's safe and sound. I just feel like I don't understand what they're getting out of this because it's
I feel like you got to do everything you can do to get through this. When the polio thing happened way back when, people went and got their shots. It wasn't politicized. And guess what? Guess where polio is now? It's really hard to find. Do you know one person who has polio? I sure don't. But I do right now know off the top of my head about a dozen people that have COVID. And it's ridiculous. If we all got the herd inoculation level, I mean, we would all be living our lives. We wouldn't have to worry about our favorite restaurants being closed. And I'm not saying that if you're an American, you shouldn't have free choice to get your shot or not. But if you don't get your shot and you get it, and you're one of our quarterbacks, oh well.
But what does the fans being vaccinated going to the game or not have to do with the players? Like, that's what I'm saying is if the players aren't being forced to get vaccinated or not, why are they forcing their fans?
Because you're in a giant petri dish.
But again,
I mean, the shoe is a giant petri. Let's everyone do whatever we can do to minimize the risk. Doesn't that make sense?
But again, the league or these teams saying, hey, fans, you have to be vaccinated to come to our games, but yet you're not forcing your players to get vaccinated. And I'm not arguing that they should or shouldn't. I'm just saying, like, don't you see how that's kind of strange?
Yeah, I think it's stupid. I think they should require the fans, too. Everyone should be, fans and players, period, should be required. And you know what? Someone's sitting at home right now going, I quit watching anything. Well, tough. I don't really care. If you're ignorant and you don't think that getting inoculated for just the basic vaccines that you got inoculated for as a child helped you get through elementary school without being crippled or deathly sick with measles, then you're a moron. I mean, that's just common sense.
So speaking of common sense, the king of common sense, David Shaw, he says that the polio vaccine was actually a vaccine. This is an experimental therapeutic. That's the difference. And apparently Shaw, on never mind.
Well, one of my best friends is a physician's assistant, and he told me when the vaccines came out, 3 of the hospitals that he does rounds in basically went empty in about 2 weeks, including Kettering Medical Center.
But yeah,
and that's just a fact.
Scott, I appreciate the call, man. Thank you. Call again. We'll talk later. All right. So again, LSU announcing today that all fans have to be fully vaccinated to attend LSU home games. And I'm curious what the reaction is going to be when Ohio State announces that. My problem with all of this is if we can't sit here and say, well, we can't force our players to get it. We can't make them get it. But, if you want to come watch the players who have a choice to get it, but you don't have a choice to get it, that's the problem I have with it. I think that, the optics I don't really like. So
we got a Browns season ticket holder on the line, Tom.
Tom, how are you, sir? Welcome.
Hey, what's going on?
Not too much, man. First of all, go Browns, but I know we're talking about something a little different here. Have you heard, so you're a Browns season ticket holder, correct? Have you heard anything about what their requirements are going to be for upcoming season?
I've heard nothing from them yet, but if they tell me to bring my proof of vaccination, I'm going to pack it in my back pocket. I'm going to show it to them when I go through and tell them thanks for being proactive.
Fair enough. Now, you don't have any problem at all with them, the players having a choice whether to get it or not, but the fans have to get it to attend the games?
I'm not going to be near the players, but I'm going to be near about I don't know how many thousands drunk spitting fans and
Muni lot.
Them just vaccinated.
Now, look, I don't want to get this all mixed up. I'm not against the vaccine. I'm vaccinated. I just saw someone say, Ann Anderson. She goes, Justin, it's pretty obvious you have not been vaccinated. You're part of the problem. Well, Ann, I thought we had a good thing going, but now you've upset me a little bit.
Got that poke?
I got the poke. I got the vaccination. Okay, I've said that on this show multiple times. The problem I have with this is that these programs and teams and NFL teams are telling the fans to take in our product, you have to be vaccinated, but yet you have to be vaccinated to go watch a bunch of guys or gals who get the choice to be vaccinated or not. That's the hypocrisy in this that I'm calling out. That's all. But I to Kev's point too, you talk about the incentivization of it is important too.
They're employees. I'm coming into their facility, and I have to follow their guidelines. So
that's fair.
That's the difference to me.
No, I get it. And Tom, I appreciate you calling and sharing.
I'm not going to be down there on the bench swapping spit with Baker Mayfield and Chubb as much as I would like to be down there patting them on the back. But there's some people sitting around me that I hope to hell they're vaccinated.
All right, good stuff. Hey, Tom, I appreciate you calling, man. Thank you. Do you see my point? Just a little, like, isn't it strange? Yeah, holy smoke.
Yeah, I'm falling apart over here.
Yeah, we got to get that.
Headphones.
We'll put our request in to get new headphones. We'll see how long that takes.
No, I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. I think for the players, they're at a percentage base for the players in order for them to have these. I don't even know what they're calling it for these. For the procedures to be lifted or for the protocols to be a little different, for less stringent, I guess is the term that they're using in the NFL. If they're at an 85% clip, then they aren't as tested as frequently. And that's why like the teams and the coaches are stressing to the players to get fully vaccinated so they can move freely around the building, practice more often, practice more physically and things of that nature. So I get what you're saying. And my whole point is, like, if we're going to be saying like that the players need to be vaccinated so they can entertain us and everything like that, then we as a public should be vaccinated so we can go and enjoy the game. And more importantly, try to get this COVID situation under control. And that's the thing I've been preaching the whole time. Like, I'm not in it for just like, all right, man, all the players should get it and no fans should be vaccinated. We should just be chewing our bubble gum watching the game, or vice versa. All fans should be vaccinated and no players should be vaccinated. I think everybody should be vaccinated if we want to get super personal about how I think. But I don't think it should be one way or the other. I think it should be a collective, just like we were talking about yesterday. Like, if you want to be a part of a community, if we're supposed to be a part of a community here, then we need to fall in line with some of these community rules that are being set in place by our government.
So, okay, is Ohio State, let's step away for a few moments. 518-1410, 518-1410. It's becoming more common now across the country. College programs, NFL teams, professional teams, to attend a to attend a professional game, NFL game. For some franchises have, not everyone has announced that, or college, LSU just announced it, Michigan and some others. They're saying to attend our games, to watch our games, you have to be fully vaccinated. If the Dayton Flyers come out and say, hey, to attend games at the arena this coming up winter, you need to show your vaccination card. Is that going to change your stance on Dayton Flyers basketball? Are you going to say, you know what, just give up my season tickets? I'll give up my tickets. I don't care. That's what I'm curious about, because it's one thing to say, it's LSU, who cares? But it's only a matter of time before we're impacted by it over here. Ohio State could announce it at any time. So that's the question I have, is how is that going?
Any day now.
Any time now. It could be right now, So 518-1410. How will you as a fan react? And, we had a lot of people call in and say, no, that they loved it. Like, we had a Browns season ticket holder, Tom, call in. He loves that the Browns are requiring that they're doing their part and helping push this. Some fans are they're outraged about it. You can't tell me what I have to do. But they can say, hey, to attend our games, you have to be vaccinated. I'm just calling out the hypocrisy of it to a certain extent. How you can't tell Baker Mayfield to get vaccinated, but the guy in the fifth row wearing the Baker Mayfield jersey, you have to be vaccinated to watch the unvaccinated or vaccinated. I don't know what this,
they ain't saying Baker Mayfield. They saying 85% of y'all. We don't care which 85% of the players are, but all the coaches have to be vaccinated, but 85% of the players have to be vaccinated for them to have less stringent rules about testing and everything like that. So I don't know if it's, hey, Baker, 85% of the Browns players, whoever's going to make this 85%, you better get that poke.
All right, we'll be back. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Ann Anderson, she did apologize. I'm not mad at you, Ann.
Hey, Ann.
I get it. We'll be back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year. Learn more at discover.com/match. Limitations apply.
What's up? This is Riley. And a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Chicken Club sandwich is the applewood bacon. It's savory, and then it's also kind of sweet. And I think the combination of bacon with chicken and Colby Jack cheese, it just really knocks it out of the park.
Hey, I'm Tanea. A little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Chicken Club sandwich is the chicken.
It's so juicy. It's grilled to perfection. I'm going to devour this sandwich.
Order the Grilled Chicken Club sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Staples Connect has everything for back to school at amazing prices. Right now, Crayola 12-count colored pencil bonus packs, 10+2 Crayola marker bonus packs, and Staples pencil boxes are just 97 cents each. Plus, Staples 3-ring binders are only $1.88. With savings like that, your student won't just be ready for school, they'll be totally prepped for the first day. Ready.
It's showtime.
Visit your local Staples or staples.com/back to school today. Ends 9/18. Limit 30 except no limit on binders. Prices may vary online.
WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Hi, John Glazer here for Glazer Soft Water. We've been making water great since 1988, and no matter what your water issues, we have solutions. Your city water can be clear, but still be hard and have the taste and odor of chlorine. Well water can look, smell, and taste terrible. Glazer Soft Water will fix your water and will even include a 7-year parts and labor warranty so you don't have to worry. Visit our website to learn more at glazersoftwater.com. Glazer Water really is better water.
Staples Connect has everything for back to school at amazing prices. Right now, Staples comp books, 2-pocket poly folders, 24-pack Crayola crayons, and 8-pack Pep Rally No. 2 pencils are just 50 cents each. So your student won't just be ready for school, they'll be first day of school pop quiz ready.
It's showtime.
Visit your local Staples store or staples.com/back to school today and get more than ready for school with amazing prices for everything on your list. Ends 9/18, limit 30, prices may vary online.
You took an antacid, and now your frequent heartburn is back. Stop heartburn before it begins with Prilosec OTC. Its unique delayed-release formula blocks heartburn at the source for 24 hours, so you can extinguish heartburn before it starts. Make the switch to Prilosec OTC today and live heartburn-free. Prilosec OTC. 1 pill a day, 24 hours, 0 heartburn. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Hustler Turf commercial mowers are built tough to work hard. Whether you need a fleet of mowers or are a one-man show, you don't have time for downtime. Hustler mowers are over-engineered, overbuilt, and tested well beyond what is required with the most complete lineup in the industry, including exclusives like a 104-inch Super 104, an 88-inch stand-on, and industry-leading warranties. Hustler mowers are ready to handle what you throw at them. Build your fleet to be reliable and versatile with Hustler Turf. Visit Small Engine Service Pros in New Carlisle today.
O'Reilly. When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a few clicks away. We offer convenient options for you to get your parts quickly. Order online and pick up for free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. We'll even bring it out curbside. Or you can have your parts delivered right to your door with free shipping on most orders over $35. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Staples Connect has everything for back to school at amazing prices. Right now, Crayola 12-count colored pencil bonus packs, 10+2 Crayola marker bonus packs, and Staples pencil boxes are just 97 cents each. Plus, Staples 3-ring binders are only $1.88. With savings like that, your student won't just be ready for school, they'll be totally prepped for the first day. Ready.
It's showtime.
Visit your local Staples or staples.com/back to school today. Ends 9/18. Limit 30 except no limit on binders. Prices may vary online.
Oh, according to research, 82% of people remember radio ads. So 82% of you listening will remember that this is an ad for ZipRecruiter. 82% of you will note that if you're hiring, ZipRecruiter finds qualified people for your job. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And 82% of you will remember that you can try ZipRecruiter for free, but you have to go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Yes, free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Get a king bed for a queen price at Mattress Firm and save up to $500 on top-rated brands like Sealy and Sleepy's.
We're live. We're local. What are you going to miss? He struck him out. We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Joe Burrow might be ruining the career of his former coach at Ohio State. I'll tell you why coming up here in just a little bit. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. The LSU Tigers announced earlier today that LSU will require all Tiger Stadium guests 12 years of age and older to provide proof of vaccination or a negative COVID-19 PCR test taken within 72 hours prior to entry. Now, I get it. We're nowhere near LSU, but it's only a matter of time before this comes to near us, right? Like if Ohio State announces that to attend games at the shoe, you need to show proof of vaccination, and this conversation is going to heat up. And here's the problem I have now. I'm vaccinated. I'm not going to push my liberal agenda or however you guys want to shape that. Okay. I'm not here to push an agenda on anybody. The bottom line is I am vaccinated. I had no problem getting vaccinated. And, it is what it is. But my problem with these stories coming out about LSU requiring that all fans show proof of vaccination to get in is that I think it's a little hypocritical of LSU and Ohio State and the NFL and others who they are saying, hey, you have to get it. You have to get it to watch our product. You have to get it to be here. You have to get it to watch our players who have the choice to get vaccinated. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? Now, to be honest, it's not as if the players were forced to get the vaccine that people would be happy and that they would voluntarily get the vaccination and show up with smiles on their faces. You would still complain. But that's why my point when we started this conversation was I'm not interested in having the conversation about your opinion about whether people should get vaccinated or not. My opinion is strictly based off the fact that teams are being hypocritical and asking fans that, demanding that fans be vaccinated to show up to watch their product being athletes who get the choice to get vaccinated or not. Now, I know that they've put incentive-based systems in, of course, hey, you need 85% threshold. If you get to that point, you don't have to be tested daily. You don't have to do the contact tracing to where you be put in quarantine like Beasley with the Bills right now. I get all that. I don't get how you can't look at a player and say you have to get it. Oh, no, you can't tell a player because it's their right and then blah, blah, blah. You just can't force players to get it and blah, blah, blah. But no, we can force the fans. We can make them get it. That doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense to me. And that's the problem I have with this. Now the big difference is, and everyone's saying, well, it's like a big giant petri dish. Everyone's going to be sitting shoulder to shoulder and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so if everyone that's sitting shoulder to shoulder, let's say at Paul Brown or at the Browns home games or at the shoe, if they require you to get it, okay, I'm thirsty. I need to go get a Pepsi. I'm going to go up and I'm going to ask, let's say, Cheryl, she seems nice. She's working at the concession stand and you're going to get your $1,500 Pepsi. And so you're going to ask her, she's going to get that. Is Cheryl vaccinated? Oh no, she has the choice. Why does she have the choice? Oh, because her company can't make her, right? Ohio State hasn't made her get it, right? Right? Like, is that how this, so that's what I have a hard time really kind of wrapping my head around. This isn't my opinion on the vaccine of whether you should get it or not. My problem is the differences in how everyone's approaching this. We can't tell the athletes to get it, but we can tell you to get it. And that's the problem I have with this. That's why I'm like, to me, what makes way more sense is, hey, provide your negative COVID test. You provide your negative COVID test, not saying that can't be fudged either, but let's be honest. When I got my vaccine, it's on a little flimsy piece of paper. Anyone out there with Photoshop, we can get everyone a vaccine one, right? Like, I'm not being serious here, but I'm being serious. Like, it's not that hard. It's on a flimsy piece of paper. It's not that hard to replicate, right? How much, there's going to be fraud galore. Are you going to be holding it up to the light like it's a fake 50? I mean, what are we doing here? Like, that's all I'm saying is I just think that this is very strange to me as far as I'm concerned. 518-1410, 518-1410. If Ohio State announces that by the way, Ohio State kicks off a week from Thursday on the road at Minnesota, by the way. But if they say, hey, that Oregon game, if you want to come watch Ohio State kick Oregon's ass, you got to be vaccinated. You got to be vaccinated. How are you going to react to watch any Buckeye game this year? You got to be vaccinated. How are you going to go to the games? Are you just saying, forget it? Is this helping you? For those of you who are on the fence, is the incentivized approach here from athletics going to help push you over the edge to go get that vaccine? And for you diehard Buckeye fans who bleed scarlet and gray, is this the pushing? Is this the point where you say, you know what? This is where the scarlet and gray stops bleeding. I don't bleed scarlet and gray when it comes to this. The Dayton Flyers fans, you guys are the most passionate fan base out there. One of the most passionate fan bases out there. If the Flyers say to watch your Dayton Flyers at the arena, are you Is that the tipping point for you? Or are you saying, you know what, forget it? My UD fandom is no longer intact. Now, if they're going to force me to get the vaccine to watch it, I'm curious of how much of this incentive-based approach is going to impact you one way or another. 518-1410. Kev, who we got?
We got Matt.
Matt, welcome in, sir. How are you?
Hey, what's up, man? It's Matt Miamisburg. Been a long time.
Yeah, it has been a while, man. I hope you're doing well. What do you got for us?
I just sit back and listen these days most of the time. But man, I don't want to oversimplify it. But, with anything in life, you have to meet the standards which are in front of you. I wanted to drive a car when I was 12, but I had to have a license. You have to do the things that...
You mean at 12 years old, you weren't yelling, my rights, I should be able to drive, like you weren't yelling that?
Yeah, no, maybe I was. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, if there's something that you want and, somebody else controls that, I mean, you're subject to their rules and regulations. You know what I mean? Now, lucky for me, I'm fully vaccinated, so, I'll go up there to the Ohio State game if I can. I'll never get season tickets or be on any list because I'll never have that kind of money to do that. But
you work in radio too, huh?
No, even less, man. I'm just an electrician. But again, it's just like I wanted to buy a house when I was 22. I didn't have no credit for it. You always have to do what you have to do to get the things that you want. And I don't see this as any different. Now, I completely agree with you. There's tons of hypocrisy and financials and other things that I can't begin to tell you or explain about. But that's just kind of the way I see it when it comes to the vaccinated. And again, maybe I'm skewed because I am vaccinated, but that's kind of the way the world works.
No, I'm with you. And, and again, a very rational point that you bring to the table. So I appreciate that. There's always restrictions in place that you have to be able to follow certain criteria to do what you want to do, whether it be a driver's license, whether it be to put a seatbelt on, whether it be to stop at a stoplight or a stop sign, whether it be to put a seatbelt on. I'm with you. There's always something in place that, we say, freedom, but there's always things in place that you have to be able to check some things off before you can experience that freedom. And I put that in quotations, right? So it is what it is, but I agree with you about that. That you're vaccinated, so this isn't going to trigger you the way it's going to trigger some. And I'm not saying I don't want to talk to you, but I really am curious. I want to hear from someone that's so against getting vaccinated to see if this is going to skew them one way or another. Is it going to push them away from the product, or is it going to get them to say, you know what, this product means too much to me, forget it, I'm just going to get it. You know what I mean? That's what I'm really curious to see if this incentivization approach is going to work.
Yeah. Hey, while I got you, can I talk a little bit about the meat and potatoes?
The meat and potatoes. What's the meat and potatoes?
Well, you guys were talking about there was no meat and no potatoes from the alliance. Well, to be honest with you, there's not a whole lot of meat and potatoes on the table from the SEC either. Were we talking 25 when those guys were actually going to start getting on the schedule and actually join the conference?
Yeah, that's when that contract's up. Now, again, after this upcoming season, a ton of lawyers. The SEC, Texas and Oklahoma, they're going to have their attorneys and lawyers, but I promise you the SEC is going to fork over a pretty bill and send some heavy attorneys to represent both of them to get them out of that contract one way or another. I'd be very surprised if it takes another 3 years before they are welcomed into the SEC officially.
Yeah. So again, officially, there's not a whole lot of meat and potatoes on the table right now, even when it comes to the SEC. And I'll use another point of yours. We're talking at least a year, 2 years away for the waiter to even start to bring that out. And earlier you said college football could change in a heartbeat. Now, I don't know if it's going to change that much. Some of this stuff in motion will probably happen. But when you look at the alliance between, the Big Ten and all these guys, right now, it's not that much different than the SEC. And, looking at it further, if you start getting, USC, Oregon, Clemson, possibly Notre Dame, I don't see that big of, a gap between the SEC and, this alliance. Honestly. Even if when you look at the Big Ten right now, who's been highly competitive in bowl games the last couple of years against all the other conferences, when you start stacking teams up in the Big Ten against the SEC, it's close. It's not as good, but it's close. But if you start throwing teams like Clemson and, Virginia Tech, if Miami could ever get up the scale, USC and Oregon, kind of stay where they are and USC gets back up a little bit. I see that alliance being just as strong as the SEC.
No, but again, it depends what the alliance is. I mean, this alliance has done nothing. And Matt, I appreciate the call. Thank you. We'll get back into that alliance conversation from earlier. Matt brings up a lot of good points as far as that's concerned. But again, it's all going to right now without knowing the official timetable of when Texas and Oklahoma can join. We know that right now they're contractually obligated to finish out their stint in the Big 12. But that's not till the end of 2025. Will the Big 12 even be around by 2025? Will there even be a conference to belong to by that year? So there's going to be a lot of question marks there. But if you're just tuning in, of course, talking about some of the requirements to attend some college football games coming up. Ohio State has yet to announce that you have to be vaccinated to attend college football games at the SHU. But I'm looking to confirm this, so I don't want to throw this out there all willy-nilly. But Matt on YouTube said that Ohio State has just announced that Ohio State will now require COVID-19 vaccinations for all students and staff. That's the other thing that was starting to float around today, that there were some big schools out there who were mandating that all students get vaccinated. Mm-hmm. So you know what that means, right? All athletes have to get vaccinated. Right. Now. So, I mean, you're a student, right? Isn't that the charade that the NCAA plays, student athlete? So the student before the athlete has to get the vaccination to attend school. How will that impact athletics? So thank you, Matt, for sharing that. I'm not saying I don't trust you. I just need to see that. I need to see that link first just to be responsible with putting that out there, even though I technically just did. But I'm reading your post. If that's true, which it wouldn't surprise me because we've seen a lot of schools around the country announce that over the last couple of days, that students are being required to get it. Separate talk from the NFL conversation, but overall the same thing. So he's saying that Ohio State has announced that all students and staff have to get vaccinated to attend and work there. Well, now that's a little bit of a different conversation, because now my point earlier was, how are you going to tell all of your fans you have to be vaccinated to come watch the Buckeyes, that have the choice to get vaccinated? But that sounds like that's no longer going to be the case as far as that's concerned. Kev, I'm waiting for that first headline of one major name athlete opts out of the season because they refuse to get the vaccine. Will athletes be omitted from that requirement? I mean, I don't think that's going to be the case, but it would be interesting, and that'll start a whole other World War III as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's out there on the
so you see
Ohio State, the Barstool verified account. The Ohio
Barstool, that's beyond credible. No, I
haven't seen it from the Ohio State account yet.
Okay,
on Twitter.
So you guys listening understand why I have to be a little careful with it. We've technically put it out.
There we go.
So it's official. Okay. So Matt, I believed you.
Just give me another.
I can't put stuff out there and stamp it and say, well, you too, Matt is the one that confirmed it for me. But no, thank you, Matt, for putting that in front of us. So there's that. And producer Shaw, he found the link right there.
Yeah,
so
I got it from DTN.
Okay. Okay.
So
well, that's a whole other conversation. 518-1410. Kev, who we got?
We got Rob.
Is it Rob? Rob, welcome. How are you?
Oh, we lost
Rob.
Sorry, Rob.
All right, that's fine.
We got David, though.
All right, David, how are you, sir?
Hey, gentlemen. Not to honestly listen to the last few minutes in terms of the other gentleman pointing out some facts. I think LSU came out because their football team is actually in this your four-letter network that we don't ever mention, the documented story that 99.1% of their football team is vaccinated in the state. And then the state of Louisiana population is only 50.8% vaccinated. So I think that kind of changes the perspective in terms of why LSU is trying to make a point and also trying to mitigate risk.
Real quick, my ADD is in full force. Why aren't we saying the letters ESPN?
Oh, okay. Well, you say ESPN. The documented story, 99.1% of the LSU football team is vaccinated. Only 50.8% of the Louisiana population is vaccinated. Mm-hmm. So why would they not? Why would they not make that a requirement? I think a lot of the argument I heard earlier with driving was, well, they're not forced to get vaccinated, even though they're not forced. They've demonstrated as young adults to be, in my personal opinion, a little more responsible than the rest of the population, and they're trying to protect the population to bring in the stadium, and the kids are actually being almost double vaccinated as compared to the rest of the population. So
and that's great of the athletes to step up and do that. But at the same time, for an institution, for a team to come down and say, fans, you have to be vaccinated to watch the kids that had the choice to get vaccinated, who ultimately made the right choice to get vaccinated. That's not taken away from that. But the point is they were and I guess incentivized in very similar fashions is what Kev, you kind of alluded to earlier, the incentivization being to watch the team play. But, I get it. I see it.
And they're also not taking away from their ability to watch the game. Like the at-home viewing experience is still available. They're just saying you can't come into our stadium if you're not going to show your vaccination card or show that you haven't tested positive for COVID in the last 72 hours. You can still watch the game.
But the athletes can walk in without being vaccinated. That's my point.
85%.
Yeah, but you're only going to have 0.9% of them.
But 0.9% is still 0.9%. I don't care if it's one athlete, 2 or 3.
Well, but the rules are the rules.
I mean,
the rules are the rules.
I say, look, if we have 8 out of 10 people decide not to commit crimes today and 2 out of 10 do, then we got to judge it. Like, no, you have 99.1% of kids that got vaccinated on their own free choice.
Super. Put a star on their chart. That's awesome. That's not the point. That's not the point. The point is you're telling your fans you have to get it, but not telling your athletes you have to get it. That's where I'm calling out the hypocrisy.
Yeah, fair enough.
So,
anyway. You only have half your population that got it.
Okay, I get that. But hey, thanks for the comment. I appreciate it. 518-1410, 518-1410. All right. Chad on Facebook says, just tuning in, I think showing a Vax card is absolutely stupid. So there we go. Little fire right there.
You finally got one on your side.
No, I don't think getting vaccinated. I'm not saying it's stupid. I'm vaccinated. I have no problem being vaccinated. I'm not telling you not to get vaccinated. I am calling out like the cosmetic theater. I always hear that being alluded to, which I don't agree with all of it, but some of it. And look, all of this conversation can be thrown out the window now from a college perspective. But the Las Vegas Raiders saying to watch our football team, you have to be vaccinated, but the football players don't have to be vaccinated. Like, that's hypocrisy. That's all. 518-1410. We'll be back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be partly cloudy and very hot, a high near 95. Tonight will be partly cloudy, a low around 72. And tomorrow will be partly cloudy, once again very hot, a high near 95. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Seal Coating, protecting the asphalt surfaces at your home, office, or commercial property. Introducing infrared patching, a new technology for your property. This service and more at culletsealcoating.com.
This is a metaphor for your business's journey. Sometimes it feels like you're going 100 miles an hour, barely keeping up. But to cruise through challenges, you need someone who's right there with you. That's what Dell Technologies advisors do. They have the tech advice you need to get past whatever's in front of you and get to where you want to go.
Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL and do more with modern devices and Windows 10 Pro.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
And we're back with Limu, Emu, and Doug for the final question. Category is things you climb. All right, Limu, what do you think? You sure? We're going with Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need. Oh, so close. We were looking for stairs. Huh. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Did you know that most adults with autism are unemployed, and a major hurdle is the lack of job opportunities? That's why Autism Speaks is teaming up with Lee Container, the J. Donald and Laurel Lee Family Foundation Fund, and Delivering Jobs to create a more inclusive workforce in the U.S. Are you an HR professional, community leader, or business owner? Join us in creating a workforce where people of all abilities can contribute and thrive. To learn more, visit autismspeaks.org/employment.
Furnished by the Entertainment Industry Foundation.
With the excitement of summer activities, let Roosters help keep family dinners as part of your schedule. With menu options to please everyone, from our award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, to salads, pizzas, subs, and more. Let Roosters do the cooking so you can relax, be present, and enjoy time with your family. From our Roosters family to yours, thank you for your support this past year and always. Roosters, a fun, casual family joint.
So you think you have unlimited data?
Recap
Calculating.
Think again. If you're on a network you can't trust, then your data is limited, and so are you. Get unlimited and save with Total Wireless. Get 4 lines with unlimited data on 5G from the network more Americans depend on, with 100 gigabytes at high speed than 2G for just $25 a month per line.
You have arrived at your destination.
Total Wireless. Do amazing. Available at Best Buy. 5G capable device and SIM required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See terms and conditions at totalwireless.com.
Hey, we get it. You don't want to be hearing a Progressive commercial right now. So let us tell you something you do want to hear. You are intelligent. You make all the right decisions. You were smart before smart was cool, and you made it cool again. You have a wealth of knowledge, and you are so very clever. I bet you already knew I was going to say that, you genius. There, don't you feel better? You'll also feel better when you hear you could save big when you switch to Progressive. But I'm pretty sure you already knew that, too. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Save today on your next project with 11% off everything now at Menards. Update your floors with beautiful vinyl plank flooring from Superfast. Vinyl planks are waterproof, durable, and easy to install. Start your flooring update today and save with 11% off all Superfast vinyl plank flooring. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through Saturday, August 28th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of My Pillow, here to tell you about my Giza Dream bed sheets. I made sure that they would be everything you'd ever want in a sheet set. I started with the world's finest cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region where the Sahara Desert, the Nile River, and the Mediterranean Sea all meet. The long staple cotton makes my Giza Dream sheets ultra soft and durable. They come with extra wide pillowcases to fit over any pillow and extra deep pockets to fit over any mattress. Not only that, they come with my 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty. And now you can get the best sheets ever for the best price ever. When you buy one of my Giza Dream bed sheet sets, you'll get another one absolutely free. I personally guarantee that they'll be the most comfortable sheets you'll ever own.
Go to mypillow.com and click on the radio listener square and use promo code SKY, S-K-Y, for this amazing special, or call 800-635-1825 and use promo code SKY.
Get a king bed for a queen price at Mattress Firm and save up to $500 on top-rated brands like Sealy and Sleepy's.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Byers Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
According to Christine Varconi, she says that breaking news, Ohio State and all students and staff members are required to get the COVID-19 vaccine per a letter from Dr. Johnson. The deadline for all Ohio State students, faculty, and staff to have at least the first dose is Friday, October 15th.
I was about to be like, Friday? Like this Friday?
So Well, that's what's interesting, too, about this. So LSU, the season kicks off in less than 10 days, and you're just now telling your fans they have to be vaccinated to attend?
Well, I guess they were probably waiting on it to be approved from the CDC. So now that the Pfizer's been approved, you know what I'm saying, and everything like that, like, they can put it into effect. But like before, like when it wasn't, I'm sorry, not the CDC, but the FDA.
Yeah.
So now that the Pfizer's been approved by the FDA, now they have, ammunition, for lack of a better word. Like, look, it's approved by the FDA. Ain't no hold up, right? Right, everybody. So that's their ammunition.
Well, my thing is this well, why are you giving your students and faculty and everyone a deadline to like October 15th? But the fans have to have it done in 10 days. You have to have, you don't have it now, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. Look, this, regardless of your opinion on it, you're right. The FDA approving that is why all of a sudden, because I was wondering that why now, but you're right. I didn't think about that. Now that it's, no one was willing to stamp their name to the vaccine until it was approved. Now it's officially approved. At least the Pfizer one is.
Yeah.
And that's what they're rolling with as far as that goes. So there is that. So Chad on Facebook says, wouldn't a negative test make more sense? That's what I kind of said earlier. I just said, look, to me, you show up, you show that you've been tested recently, negative COVID test. I think that makes more sense. I mean, honestly, those who provide the negative COVID test are more safe than the vaccinated, because you're still getting it if you're vaccinated. You can still, like, what happens the first time that you have a stadium full of vaccinated folks, and then you have an outbreak amongst the vaccinated, and then it's like, yeah, but I don't know. It's what it is. Interesting though, nonetheless. My point, so it's my opinion shifting now on college, mainly because of the fact that, okay, now they're requiring all students, staff members, and they haven't said athletes, but they have said students, right? Like, no, the NCAA, it's a joke. Oh yeah, student athletes, but they are student athletes. So are the student athletes a part of that mandate? That's what I'm curious about too, because are they going to find a way to create a separate pocket of rules for the athletes? Because that will create a whole mess. That will, and what's going to happen, Kev, the first time let's say a Quinn Ewers and I bring him up, like a big name athlete, like the face of your program says, yeah, I'm out. Nope, not doing it. So that means coaches now, every coach has to get it. This is the start of something big too. But this being declared now is going to be interesting, because like Ohio State kicks off a week from Thursday. What if there's certain players on that team that say, oh, I'm not getting vaccinated, I just quit, and they have the right to do that, and everyone will like, more power to you. But again, these headlines will come out. They will be talked about, and it will have it'll have an effect kind of moving forward as far as that's concerned. So again, the students, but these athletes are students. But the NFL, when the last, I'll get it right one of these times, the Las Vegas Raiders say, to watch our Raiders, you have to be vaccinated. Oh, cool. I'm vaccinated. Am I watching vaccinated players? No, they have the choice. Oh, okay. Makes sense. But yeah.
I think it's also about, like, obviously Las Vegas is like a destination place. You got people flying in from all across the country every single weekend to go party, drink, do whatever, gamble in Vegas and everything like that. So it's like that is an added attraction. So I don't even know. I'm sure it's for the locals as well, but this is also for like the people that are flying in. Like if the New York Jets are playing the Raiders out there in Las Vegas, like that's for them too. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like a preemptive thing. Like, we are a vacation destination, so we're trying to keep our vacation destination wide open for everybody. So like, I think that's why they're doing it. When I went out there a couple weeks ago, like, it was right when they put the mask mandate back into effect. So like, they're trying to keep their money flowing at every cost. And if this is what they got to do in their eyes, I guess that's what they got to do. I don't know. I do wonder about the whole get a vaccination in line thing and then go into the game. Like, that does seem.
Do you see what I mean by that? Like,
that was weird. I was watching that on the news when I was out there. I was like, hold on, like, like you get the poke and then it doesn't just automatically knock it out and you're safe, right? Like, so like that's where when people talk about like, oh, this is just for fluff and this is just for show, those are the type of instances that people point to, because any rational person that knows that, oh man, yeah, I haven't got my vaccine, but I want to go to this game, I'll just get it as I walk in through the gate. Like, I'll buy my ticket at the gate and then go get a vaccine. Like,
it's like your ticket in one hand, you roll up your sleeve in the other, you get the poke, you scan your ticket, and you walk inside.
Yeah, like Yeah, I have a hard time rationalizing that or trying to, give that credence. So that is very weird to me.
All right. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. 518-1410, 518-1410. I'm going to ask this one more time. I want to hear from a Dayton Flyers fan. Now, I'm convinced Dayton Flyers fans don't listen to this show. And, I get it. Whatever. I get it. But if you are a Dayton Flyers fan, if you are a season ticket holder, if the Dayton Flyers tell you to watch your Dayton Flyers, you need to get the poke. You need to get the vaccination. And you need to show your proof of vaccination walking into UD Arena. And if you don't, you can't watch your Dayton Flyers. Now, let's be honest, folks. We heard from you all a year ago, a little under a year ago, right before basketball season started. You guys were furious and upset that your Dayton Flyers actually made you pay thousands and thousands of dollars just to hold a seat that you wouldn't even be able to sit in this past season. So you paid it because it means a lot to you. The Dayton Flyers basketball program means a lot to you. And for those of you who are against the vaccine and love the Dayton Flyers and the program means a lot to you, what means more, your rights or attending a college basketball game? I'm curious to see how that's going to work out, because that's really, like, we could talk about LSU. There's no emotional connection to LSU outside of the fact that the time that we try to take credit for their quarterback winning a national championship and a Heisman Trophy. Outside of that, we don't care about LSU football, but I was mainly using that as a tone setter for what to expect if it happens, if our team announces that. I do find this interesting, though. Ohio State announcing that all faculty members have to get vaccinated, as well as all students. And students will leave campus. Students will unenroll. They will say, they'll drop out. They'll say, forget it. They'll move on. They'll go do something else. But really, I'm curious about the athletes, the football players, the basketball players, baseball, volleyball, what have you. Doesn't matter. Move down the list. Athletes, someone's going to speak up. And it's going to be very interesting where this goes from here. So we'll keep our ear and eye out for the fallout from that. All right. Chad said that's the dumbest campaign the Raiders could have come up with. It's not. The only reason it's dumb is because of the fact that you're telling fans you have to be fully vaccinated to attend our games, but we'll also have vaccination stations for you to get vaxxed at the games. Well, that doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. You know how busy it is around NFL stadiums on game day? You're going to stand in line to get vaxxed, just pay $25 to probably $100 in Vegas to park to get vaxxed? No. So is what it is. We'll see. All right, Kev. So Joe Burrow is about to get Urban Meyer fired in Jacksonville.
Whoa.
Baker Mayfield might get Urban Meyer fired in Jacksonville. Justin Herbert might get Urban Meyer fired in Jacksonville. And I'll tell you why when we come back. It's the Justin Kinner Show, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Selfish Justin Kinner forgot to say with Kev Nash, so let me restart that. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Kinner, you big jerk. We'll be back. I'll tell you why Joe Burrow is about to get Urban Meyer fired. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Many Vietnam War veterans were unknowingly exposed to dangerous chemicals impacting their health and quality of life. There are now expanded benefits for veterans exposed to Agent Orange. Veterans with Parkinsonism, bladder cancer, or hypothyroidism who previously applied for VA disability compensation but were denied should reapply and might be eligible for retroactive compensation. Exposed veterans who have not yet applied should consider filing a new claim. For assistance, call Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Get a king bed for a queen price at Mattress Firm and save up to $500 on top-rated brands like Sealy and Sleepy's.
O'Reilly. Do you even remember the last time you changed your spark plugs? Well, then now's a good time. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get a $15 gift card after mail-in rebate when you purchase 4 or more select Iridium spark plugs. Put the pep back in your car. Visit your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store or shop O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The Montgomery County Clerk of Courts Help Center brings the courthouse to the community with its weekly outreach programs to local churches, libraries, and community centers. We help you navigate the legal system. Find a location near you at courthouse2u.com. Brought to you by Montgomery County Clerk of Courts Mike Foley.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, Service Manager, Germain Honda of Beaver Creek. When you need service, we're here. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays from 6 to 8 and Saturdays from 7 to 5. We proudly offer a state-of-the-art facility with factory-trained technicians, clean waiting room, and service department. Loaner cars are available during service and free alignment checks with any service. Be sure to stop in and ask for our $39.95 oil change special. Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, State Route 35, east of 675, between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
Have you experienced foot or ankle pain during or after sports, running, or exercising at the gym? Those nagging aches in your foot or ankle simply won't go away on their own. Podiatric physicians are the most qualified doctors to care for your feet based on their education, training, and experience. Your podiatrist can provide you with important foot care solutions, shoe inserts, and show you how to support your feet and ankles so you're able to compete or exercise comfortably. Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association podiatric physicians are located throughout the state and are dedicated to providing the highest quality foot and ankle care. Ask if your podiatrist is a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association so you know you are being treated by the very best. The Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association has been serving the profession and the public for over 100 years, and we look forward to caring for Ohioans' feet for another 100 years. To find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
What's up? This is Riley. And a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Chicken Club sandwich is the applewood bacon. It's savory and then it's also kind of sweet. And I think the combination of bacon with chicken and Colby Jack cheese, it just really knocks it out of the park.
Hey, I'm Tanea. A little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Chicken Club sandwich is the chicken. It's so juicy. It's grilled to perfection. I'm going to devour this sandwich.
Order the Grilled Chicken Club sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Staples Connect has everything for back to school at amazing prices. Right now, Crayola 12-count colored pencil bonus packs, 10 plus 2 Crayola marker bonus packs, and Staples pencil boxes are just 97 cents each. Plus, Staples 3-ring binders are only $1.88. With savings like that, your student won't just be ready for school, they'll be totally prepped for the first day. Ready.
It's showtime.
Visit your local Staples or staples.com/back to school today. Ends 9/18. Limit 30 except no limit on binders. Prices may vary online.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
The Fairmont Firebirds welcome in the Trotwood Rams this Friday night at 7 p.m. for the ESPN Dayton Glacier Softwater Game of the Week. Listen live at 1410 Wing AM or stream the game at wingam.com. Firebirds, Rams, Friday night at 7 p.m. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER and ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
Scott Whetstone, he says Kev Nash rules. Thank you. And then Chad responds with Kev's a Steelers fan. He only rules Monday through Saturday. Aye.
That time of year again, huh?
Absolutely. By the way, the Sunday morning tailgate show makes its return to 1410 ESPN Radio live from Frickers on 741 by the Dayton Mall this Sunday. Keith Byers and I will be live out at Frickers starting at 11 a.m. this Sunday. Again, we're going to start at 11 a.m. this Sunday. We'll get you set for Ohio State kicking off the season a week from this Thursday. And then we'll talk about all the big headlines in the National Football League and college football, college athletics as a whole, as we officially approach the season. It's week 0, correct?
Mm-hmm. We got Nebraska and Illinois, the big game on Saturday at 1 o'clock.
So that's going to be, look, regardless of the quality of the teams, it's college football, baby, and that's all that matters. But the season's officially here. Buckeyes a week from this Thursday. Pretty pumped about that. But the Sunday morning tailgate show live from Frickers on 741 by the Dayton Mall will be live out there this Sunday, 11 a.m. Keith Byers and myself. So pretty pumped about that.
That time of year, baby.
Absolutely.
Just going down, man. I love college football. College football is my favorite sport, bar none.
Kev Nash rules Monday through Saturday. Okay. So Joe Burrow is about to get Urban Meyer fired. Baker Mayfield's about to get Urban Meyer fired. Justin Herbert's about to get Urban Meyer fired. Now, Urban Meyer, it's a little interesting. His run so far as a head coach in the NFL, he has yet to coach an official game, a regular season game of the National Football League. But let's be honest. When Steve Spurrier and guys like Chip Kelly and college coaches like that took over teams, Kev, what were they known for? Who were they like? What, Kelly was brought in, offense, offensive minded. Spurrier, offensive minded. Like when these coaches from college come in, they are brought in because the NFL, there's teams that feel like, that there's some principles and practices that have made their college teams great that they feel would be a great fit in the NFL game. And we're going to bring him here and we're going to unleash this a secret weapon that it's working in college. And it only takes one coach to click for it to be introduced to the NFL, right? The problem with Urban Meyer is if I had to use one word to sum up his existence in Jacksonville, it's questionable. It's all questions, no answers. There are no answers being given to the questions. And I started following the timeline of everything. For one, Urban Meyer coming out of retirement to coach. Why Jacksonville? Why the Jaguars? Jacksonville. That was the first question. The second question then became, okay, you're going to have Trevor Lawrence. That's cool. That's super. But then the question, why that strength and conditioning coach? Why that? Why? More questions, no answers. Tim Tebow, questions, not answers. Everyone's asking why. Every decision Urban Meyer has made, everyone's asking one question, and it's why. Why Tim Tebow? Why that strength and conditioning coach from Iowa after everything that happened there? Why Jacksonville, of all jobs, to come out of retirement for? All right, why? I mean, why? The draft picks. Unfortunately, Travis Etienne is out for the season. That's unfortunate. But it wasn't why draft him. Kid's super talented. But why draft him after you just signed Carlos Hyde? You have a deep running back room, and you wasted one of your couple first round picks on Travis Etienne. Why? Like, that's been the question surrounding Urban Meyer since he took over Jacksonville. Why? Why did Trevor Lawrence play the entire first half last night? Why, Urban Meyer? Why is Trevor Lawrence not taking that next step forward? Why is he not getting better? Why does the offense look lost? Why that coaching staff? Why did you select these really no names in the big picture scheme of things? Why did they not make a bigger impact in free agency when they had the most money to spend of any team in the NFL? They had $70 million. So the one word that sums up Urban Meyer's start in Jacksonville is questionable. It's all questions, no answers. Now, you're probably saying, well, why is Joe Burrow about to get Urban Meyer fired? Because Urban Meyer, his success in Jacksonville, Kevin, the early going will not be about wins and losses. They can go 3-14 this year as long as Trevor Lawrence looks like a future Hall of Famer, or at least a future star in the NFL. If they go 7-10 and Trevor Lawrence, and they have to go to Gardner Minshew, and Trevor Lawrence looks horrible, the clock's ticking on Urban's career. It's not about wins and losses. They can win 7 games this year, which would be about what they're expected to do. But if they win 7 games this year and Trevor Lawrence is benched because he's just that horrible, then that's on Urban Meyer. And those 7 wins, that doesn't get you anywhere, because then you're right back to the word of the day, the why, the questionable. Why do we win 7 games but we still feel like we have no future? Why, Urban Meyer? What is going on? His job is to be a part of the upcoming of Trevor Lawrence. So, and the reason I say that Joe Burrow and Baker Mayfield and Justin Herbert, the reason I brought those 3 names up is because those 3 guys all had a list a mile long of reasons why they should not have been successful, all of which Trevor Lawrence has as well, and all of which he does not get to use as an excuse for if he does not pan out, which is a problem for Urban Meyer. Baker Mayfield takes over an 0-16 team. Baker Mayfield has to come in at halftime against the Jets team in a start to the season where the Browns, who at that time tying with the Steelers was like winning the freaking Super Bowl, okay, almost beating the Saints, and Drew Brees was like almost winning a Super Bowl. That was pressure for Baker Mayfield to come in. Yet Hugh Larius Jackson, as the head coach, as Mark Schlemmer calls him, Hugh Larius Jackson was the head coach. Look at all of the mess that he had to go through when he took over Cleveland. He broke Peyton Manning's touchdown record at that time, rookie touchdown record at that time, right? Baker showed glimpses of greatness. Baker was great his rookie season. Joe Burrow had no business averaging close to 300 passing yards a game last year. He had no business dicing up defenses when he had the most embarrassing offensive line in football last year, which ultimately cut his rookie season short, 9.5 games in. But those 9.5 games, we saw glimpses of greatness from Joe Burrow, to where with Zach Taylor, it wasn't necessarily about the team's win-loss record. It was, okay, don't screw up Joe Burrow and you'll have a life here. You'll have an opportunity here. Hugh Jackson, don't screw up Baker Mayfield. You'll have an opportunity here. There's a reason Hugh Jackson survived the first year of Baker Mayfield's run, because it felt like, oh, we're going in the right direction. There's positivity. Everything is wrong. They're on Hard Knocks. It felt like that Hugh Jackson was going to be a part of the turnaround because Baker Mayfield was successful. They didn't win a lot of games Baker's rookie year, but Baker developed. Hugh Jackson got credit for that. You look at the Bengals. They didn't win a lot of games last year. They were picking in the top 5. It wasn't about wins and losses for the Bengals. It was, okay, Zach Taylor, just don't screw up Joe Burrow. You'll be fine. It's not about the wins and losses. It's about the development of the quarterback. Now, I say that. The one counter example here is the fact that you look at the Chargers. The Chargers had made up their mind on their head coach being gone at the end of the season one way or another. But Justin Herbert had, just like Joe Burrow, the worst offensive line in football, one of the worst offensive lines in football. And he was a top 10 quarterback last year as a rookie. If you look at his numbers, 30 plus touchdowns, only 10 interceptions, a very high completion percentage, a lot of touchdowns. I mean, my goodness, the kid was fantastic. Those kids right there, those guys right there are why Urban Meyer will not survive this season with Trevor Lawrence if it does not improve. I'm not overreacting to preseason games, but if Trevor Lawrence cannot dice up the second and third stringers of the New Orleans Saints, whose starters aren't the best defenders to begin with, that's a problem. Urban Meyer looked lost. He looked like he had no answers. Trevor Lawrence looked frustrated. He looked like he had no answers. With all due respect to Trevor Lawrence, he doesn't get to use I was the number 1 pick for a reason. I went to the team with the number 1 pick for a reason. They're no good. They don't have talent. Their offensive line's not good. Well, Joe Burrow didn't have an offensive line, and he did pretty good. Baker Mayfield took over an 0-16 team. He did pretty good. You look at, Justin Herbert. He had a horrible offensive line and on a non-playoff team. You have your doctor who's puncturing guys left and right. I mean, my goodness, he did pretty good. So again, it's not about wins and losses. The Jaguars could win 7 games this year, and if it's with Gardner Minshew because Trevor Lawrence can't figure it out, that's on Urban Meyer. Unfortunately, it's a gamble to give a rookie head coach a rookie quarterback, but it's also a gamble for the rookie head coach to take over a rookie quarterback, because Urban Meyer is going to be judged on one thing and one thing only this year, Kev, and that is, how good is Trevor Lawrence? Because he will be viewed as the guy that ruined Trevor Lawrence, and that's always going to be what scars his legacy in the NFL. I'm concerned that Urban doesn't last longer than a year in Jacksonville, because if he does screw up Trevor Lawrence, Kev, that's it. Lights out. They're not expected to win this year. It's not about wins and losses. It's about the development of Trevor Lawrence, and if Urban Meyer can't do that, I don't think his seat stays cool very long.
For me, like this whole thing, like you talked about from the Tebow situation, from the strength and conditioning coach situation, from him even taking this job in Jacksonville, it just always seems strange to me. For him to be so stressed out with an elite program like Ohio State, where you get your pick of first round picks, but with Jacksonville, you only get 1 first round pick. The players he had at Ohio State were immense. You had tons of talent. At Florida, tons of talent. I mean, at Utah, tons of talent. I mean, Alex Smith went number 1 in the draft, and that was partly because of Urban Meyer. And, Urban Meyer was part of bringing the spread offense to college football. But then later on in his career, he became known for being the CEO. And that's what I thought Urban Meyer was going to eventually become. I thought he was going to jump to the NFL, but not as a coach, as a GM, to evaluate
talent evaluator. Yeah,
because that's what he's best at. He's the best at evaluating talent, not only the talent for the guys on the field, but the guys that are going to be coaching that talent. And that's what his niche is. That's what he's great at. That's what made him a great head coach, because he coached up his coaches that in turn coached up his players. I can't disagree with you about him lasting too long in the NFL. I'm taking a look at his college coaching record. 187 wins, 32 losses. Man, listen. he's going to have double-digit losses this season.
He's going to have a third of his total career losses in college in one season in the NFL.
Yeah. Like real quick, because that roster isn't talented. Not only isn't it talented on offense, but it's horrible on defense. Like the only guy that's still on that team from the team that went to that AFC championship game is Miles Jack. And they were super talented on that team. I mean, they had Jalen Ramsey, they had Telvin Smith, they obviously had Miles Jack, they had Paul Posluszny. Like a lot of dudes retired, a lot of dudes that went on to other teams and things like that. But also something that they had on that team, they had a great running game with a great offensive line. I watched part of that game last night as I was cleaning up the house, and every time that Lawrence took a snap, he was under duress. And let's be clear, man, this is the preseason, and I know we don't want to make too much of the preseason, but something you can make a lot of you're getting pressured. They're not blitzing in the preseason. This is just a front four getting pressure on the quarterback. So I would imagine that, I don't know this for a fact, but I would imagine that you're not going to have your quarterback that's going to be leading your franchise into the future out there with the backup offensive lineman. I would imagine that those are the starters giving up a ton of pressure. So he's going to be under a lot of pressure, and he's not going to be throwing to Keenan Allen. He's not going to be throwing to Mike Williams. Now, DJ Shark, he's all right. But he's all right. He's not Keenan Allen. You know what I'm saying? So the guys that he's going to be throwing the ball to aren't like great wide receivers. They're NFL receivers. They're fine, but they're not nothing to be like, oh, man, I got him on my team. Oh, watch out, world. So I think there's a lot of pressure on Urban Meyer to get this thing going. And I can't disagree with you. Like, I don't see him lasting too long down there in Jacksonville. Like, I mean, we know about the health situations and everything like that with Urban Meyer from Florida to Ohio State. If you were stressed out at Ohio State and Florida because you lost a SEC championship game and you lost a game at Purdue and you're pulling your hair out, what are you going to do when Jacksonville loses to Kansas City by 40-something points? What are you going to do when the Colts defense shuts you out? What are you going to do when another team just basically manhandles your young quarterback and then you have to put in Gardner Minshew because your quarterback of the future is hurt and potentially hurt for the season because you can't protect him? I don't think Herb lasts forever down there in Jacksonville because of the situation he's not only walked into, but part of the situation he put himself into. So I don't see this ending well down there, man. Like, I don't see him like being like a fix-it guy. I mean, there's a lot of college coaches that flame out in the NFL, but there's a lot of college coaches that end up doing well. Like, who was the Jacksonville head coach like way back in the day? And he also was the head coach with the Giants. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Del Rio?
No.
Coughlin.
Yeah. Now, Coughlin, he was the head coach at Boston College before he came to the NFL. And he was like a real buttoned up guy. The whole, if you're 15 minutes late for a meeting, you're late. You know what I'm saying? So like, he was like that type of guy, and it worked for him for a while. And then he had to leave because, you know, those young guys became veterans and they weren't putting up with it anymore. And then he had success with the Giants, and then he, you know, tweaked his style and, you know, he worked everything out with the veterans. Like, I don't see him having that blip that Tom Coughlin had. I just don't see it. Like, I see that. I saw that team last night, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I watched the Jags on a weekly basis, but like, man, they looked lost. They looked lost offensively and defensively. So he's got his work cut out for him, and protecting the quarterback is number one. You got to protect the quarterback. So,
well, protecting the quarterback is not the number one thing, because the Bengals and Chargers, for one, I agree with you. Yes, I've been preaching that same thing. But the Bengals and Chargers, are two of the dumbest. Well, no, one's one of the dumbest franchises in the history of the world for not protecting their quarterback. The Chargers are very, very smart because they actually protected their quarterback in their first off seasons after Justin Herbert emerged as a star. The Bengals sat on their hands the whole time. But my point earlier about Joe Burrow getting Urban fired is that unfortunately for Urban Meyer, his former player is going to come back to hunt him, because Joe Burrow is the standard for what Trevor Lawrence will be compared to. The Bengals weren't a good team. They didn't win a lot of games. And they had a horrible offensive line. So all of the excuses for why Trevor Lawrence could fail in his rookie season, you're not allowed to use those because guys like Joe Burrow, guys like Justin Herbert, guys like Baker Mayfield, they have all risen above those struggles and they've all proven to be very talented quarterbacks. And that's why I'm saying Trevor Lawrence, you don't get to use I'm on the number one team. I went to the team that had the first overall draft pick for a reason. Oh, well, I struggled because we don't have an offensive line. I struggled because we don't have a very good coach. I struggled. You can have all the excuses you want, but Joe Burrow had just as many as you. Baker had just as many as you. Justin Herbert had just as many as you. And they proved that they at least looked the part. So for me, it's not about wins, losses. I know what you're talking about. I'm almost wondering the losses led to losing in Jacksonville is not going to build pressure for Urban Meyer. The losses at Ohio State
used to losing,
but
he's been a winner his whole career.
Yeah, but you were expected to win at Ohio State and Florida. You're not expected to win right now. You're expected to win big picture.
I mean, he was winning at Bowling Green for his 2 years. He was winning at Utah for his 2 years.
But you're still expected to win there, not win national championships, but win.
But I mean, he turned Bowling Green around. He turned Utah around.
But this isn't the college though.
I'm just saying, that's what
they look like a college roster. But
that's what he's used to doing. He's used to going in there, and in 2 years. Boom, we're rolling.
Yeah, but you always say context is key. The context of the Jaguars is you're not expected to win. I don't think he's going out there.
What's his expectations for himself?
No,
though?
He wants to win. But my point is that if they lose, he's not walking back to that locker room of, oh, man, don't make eye contact with Gene Smith. Oh, man, don't make eye contact with so there's a lot of pressure here. If they lose and walk off the field and Trevor Lawrence looks like he's a star, he's done his job in year one. The reason I brought up last night is because they looked pathetic. They looked embarrassing. They looked like they were lost. Trevor Lawrence does not look like a number one quarter who I've said is better than Joe Burrow and everyone. He did not look better than, I'll take Joe Burrow any day now. I'm wrong about that. Now, again, it's a preseason game, but again, he looks lost against backups to backups. So my point about Urban is he's not, when he walks off the field after a loss and he looks over at Tony Khan or whatever the guy's name is, the Khan brothers, he looks at them and they lost. He's not being judged for the loss. He's being judged for, okay, we lost, but man, Trevor Lawrence, he looked good. He had 296 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He looked good. But if he walks off the field and they've lost and Trevor Lawrence has thrown 3 picks and he threw for 125 yards and he took 5 sacks, now that eye contact that he's avoiding and he's doing that's where that's going to come from. So I agree with everything you're saying.
He's definitely going to get sacked 5 times in week 1.
He holds himself to that standard to win, but when he was at Ohio State, he held himself to that standard, but so did every fan, every employee, the president of the university, everyone, the Big Ten itself. Everyone expected Urban to win there. At Jacksonville, it's not. He's going to put the pressure on himself to win, but that pressure is not coming from anywhere outside of himself. So it's a lot less pressure, if that makes sense. I don't feel like he's feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders in Jacksonville the way he did at Ohio State. We've talked about how he turned the Big Ten around himself. He's not turning that conference around. He's not turning that franchise around right away. His one goal, his whole purpose of life right now is to make sure Trevor Lawrence looks like a star, because the Jacksonville Jaguars, you have a star that fell in your lap. And if your decision to hire the wrong head coach ends up burning the whole franchise down on top of it, if this doesn't work, Jacksonville could be gone. Like, the franchise itself could be gone. Like, let's just be honest. I mean, there was talks of them not being an NFL team in the next 3 to 4 years anyways. This was supposed to save that.
Texas.
Right? Like, yeah, by the way, why is that place? I mean, that's why the crew stayed in Columbus. Like, Austin's always used as the location to use for navigation or for negotiation points.
Do yourself a favor. Go to Austin, Texas. Great times down there.
The SEC agrees. All right. It's the just.
I do got a question.
Oh, my bad. Yeah.
Well, we talk about this on the other side of the break, but why do you think he took that job?
I don't know. That's why it goes back. Oh, here on my notes, I had this, and I didn't even get to it. I didn't set this up properly. I said, look, we know why Kelly was brought to the Eagles, right? Like, his offense with Steve Spurrier, his offense. We know why he was brought to the NFL. Urban Meyer going to the NFL was for, by the way, Nick Saban, it was about his defense, because back then it was about it's not always offense, but defense is why Nick Saban, that was his identity. Kev, what's Urban's identity? You said it earlier.
CEO.
The CEO. So why? From day one.
I get why Jacksonville will want him. I just don't get why he will want Jacksonville.
But at the same time, why would you want Urban? You brought in Kelly from Oregon because he was going to bring these offensive schemes that no one's seen before. So that's why you were excited for that. Spurrier, the same thing. What does Urban bring to the table? Recruiting? You had $70 freaking million in free agency, and you had one of the worst off seasons of anyone out there. I don't give you credit for drafting Trevor Lawrence, just like I don't give the Bengals credit for drafting Joe Burrow, because when you have the number 1 overall pick, of course you're going to take that guy. You didn't have to read the room and out recruit or out scout everybody else. Like, it was easy. I mean, me in my living room is doing your scouting for you, telling you take him. It's an obvious pick. I don't know. It's going to be interesting though. Chad says he was brought in for a money draw and hope. Well, it's kind of unfortunate.
Well,
2 preseason games.
Why did I want to know why he went?
Trevor Lawrence. Opportunity. I mean, the opportunity to be a part of something coming up. And I also honestly think he picked Jacksonville because at the end of the day, you weren't expected to win coming in right away. And I think that we've seen the pressure build on him. But you take over someone that already has a franchise quarterback, you're expected to keep that ship afloat and not sink it right away. Now, you're just trying to get this ship out on the water right now, and it looks like they're docked for a while. I don't know. We'll be back. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Get a king bed for a queen price at Mattress Firm and save up to $500 on top-rated brands like Sealy and Sleepy's.
Summer is winding down, and Rob's Beer Barn is preparing for all of your favorite fall beers and other seasonal refreshments. Rob's Beer Barn has you covered for all your gatherings. You can find all the ice-cold refreshments you'll need: craft, imported, local, and seasonal beers, fine wines, snacks, and ice, and Rob's Beer Barn apparel. Rob's has it all. And for last-minute items, you can call, walk in, or drive through. Stop in and visit Rob's and stock up today. Rob's Beer Barn on Indian Ripple Road at Darst, just a mile east of the Green. Rob's Beer Barn. Just look for the Beaver.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Monster Jam. Coming to Wright State University Nutter Center, October 29th and 30th. Brought to you by BKT Tires and Direct Auto Insurance. Visit monsterjam.com for tickets and event details.
O'Reilly.
Syntec is back and better than ever at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec is a premium full synthetic motor oil at an affordable price. Right now, get 5 quarts of Syntec full synthetic and a Wix filter for just $31.99. Plus, earn double O Rewards points. Minimize friction, heat, and wear on your engine with Syntec full synthetic motor oil exclusively at
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Staples is evolving to Staples Connect, a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Don't miss the ESPN Dayton Glacier Softwater High School Football Game of the Week every Friday night, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers and Justin Kinner will have the call all season long. Check out wingam.com for the complete schedule and to stream the games live.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
I'm probably okay to have one more drink before I drive home. I'm probably okay. I open the window to stay alert. Probably okay. I just popped some gum in my mouth.
step out of the car, please?
I probably made a mistake.
Probably okay isn't okay when it comes to drinking and driving. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Whoa, long time no see. It's me, the Rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff, create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com. We're live. We're local. We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Oh, sorry. I'm golfing tonight. I'm just practicing.
Oh, okay.
Getting warmed up. My bad. I yell 4 a lot.
Oh, Lord.
We welcome you back. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. All right. Talked about Urban Meyer's struggles in Jacksonville, and I think their struggles. This preseason sucks. But then again, I've never seen anybody say, man, I love this. This has been a great preseason. But I don't feel like all these shows who are doing this analysis of preseason reaction, and again, not the games themselves. People keep coming at me about that rant I went on about the U.S. Olympic team, the men's for the men's basketball Olympic team. When they were struggling, I kept saying, you guys are all overreacting to exhibition game results. I was talking about the game results themselves. Scores don't matter. If we came on the mic today and said, man, I think Urban's struggling. The Jags are 0-2 in preseason. It has nothing to do with the record of the team. I didn't care about, I rolled my eyes at the results of the men's exhibition games for U.S. Olympic team, right? That was the dumbest thing ever. What we were trying to point out is that the results of that doesn't matter. People were literally saying that Greg Popovich was overrated because men's USA Olympic team lost an exhibition game. That's why I was rolling my eyes and going at people. Now, when I talk about Jamar Chase's struggles in camp and when I talk about Urban Meyer's struggles, everyone's like, well, I thought exhibition preseason doesn't matter. The game results don't matter, but the game within the game, that matters. The reason this preseason stinks so bad is because I don't know what we're watching or who we're watching. Half the people we watch, they're backups to the backups. No starters are playing. You have, and it's so funny, on back-to-back days, you also had Andy Reid, who played Patrick Mahomes the whole first half of the Chiefs game, and he was praised for it. He's a genius, right? Oh, man, he knows what he's doing. Urban Meyer plays Trevor Lawrence the whole first half, and Urban's an idiot. It's just funny how we all look at things, right? Urban's going to get him killed. Well, as I said yesterday, the reason that matters is I don't think that there shouldn't be a blanketed rule for whether to play starters or not. I think that your roster matters. Yep. The reason I think Urban's getting ridiculed for playing him so much last night was because of the fact that he has such a bad roster that he is getting hit a lot. Patrick Mahomes has arguably the best offensive line in football. That's why you let him play the whole time, because you don't have teams sending the blitz left and right. They're not trying to get to the quarterback and kill the quarterback every play. And you have the top offensive line in football. It's safe to play your quarterback, or at least it's the higher percentage. It's safer to play him than it is Trevor Lawrence. Urban Meyer, just so it's clear, I want him to succeed. Every time I see his face pop up on the screen, I'm like, it looks weird. It looks weird seeing him in the NFL. I don't think there's a team out there that teal. I don't know if there's a windbreaker. I don't know if there's a team out there that he could have gone to that I would have been like, oh, that fits. That makes sense. People think people are getting mad at me about my Urban jab. I'm like, that wasn't a jab. I didn't mean that in any disrespectful way at all. If Ryan Day took an NFL job and the Buckeyes had an opening, I would do anything to see Urban go back to Ohio State. I have no issues with her. I like Urban Meyer. All I was saying is when you had Steve Spurrier and you had Kelly and you had these other college coaches that went to experiment in the NFL, Saban was known for his defense. Kelly and Spurrier were known for their offense. That's why they were brought to bring, for Saban, a defensive identity to Miami. Spurrier and Kelly were supposed to bring this offensive identity to their respective teams that they went to. That's why they were brought in. When I think of Urban Meyer coming in, Kev, you nailed it earlier. Urban Meyer's strengths are more player development or player analysis or player. Or what did you call it earlier? I'm just missing the word here, the phrase.
But CEO. He looks player, at. Dang, I lost it too.
You said it. No, it was a perfect way to put it earlier. But just, he was able to eye talent and be able to put rosters together. Talent evaluator. He's a perfect talent evaluator. So when I think of, fill in the blank, Urban Meyer, Kelly and Spurrier were brought to the NFL because of fill in the blank offense. Saban was brought to the NFL because fill in the blank defense. Now they all failed. Spurrier did a little better than the others, but not by much. They all failed, but at least they had an identity. There was a plan in place. We're bringing them here to strengthen our defense. We're bringing them here to strengthen our offense. We're bringing Urban here to what? And I think that when you have to think about that, that's why you're seeing we're seeing a lot of, what? The Jags are struggling. Okay, you have Urban Meyer there. What were you expecting? A high-flying offense? A power run game? A great defensive team? Who are the Jaguars? I think we need to ask ourselves, who is Urban Meyer, the NFL coach? I don't even think he could tell you. Anytime a coach is hired in the NFL, we say, Zach Taylor. As much as I didn't like the Zach Taylor hiring, I knew that he was there, brought to Cincinnati to open up the offense, to bring those offensive principles that he learned under Sean McVay, to bring him here. I didn't have to like the hire, but I understood where the Bengals were wanting to go with it. Mm-hmm. I don't get that vibe from Jacksonville. I'm not rooting for Urban to fail. I want him to succeed. I don't want to be the lasting memory of Urban Meyer being the horrible last season he had at Ohio State. That was unfortunate. And then now this. I feel like his reputation will be tarnished if he fails here. And I think it's looking like he's well on his way to doing that. History tells us that that's pretty much going to be the case as well. Coaches like him don't succeed in the NFL. Hoping I'm wrong. But that's why, Kev, I'm just asking. Urban Meyer was brought to the NFL for fill in the blank. I don't know what he gives the Jags an advantage of over any other coach out there. That's not me hating. That's not me crapping on Urban Meyer. That's just the reality of it. And I think even the most diehard Buckeye Urban fans, they couldn't give me an answer either.
I would have felt more comfortable with him as a GM.
Yep. I agree.
That's why I thought
talent evaluator. Now we got it. There we go.
That's what I thought he was going to do. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just sitting from my couch watching everything like that. But for lack of a better word, he looked happy. He looked energized when he was doing the Fox Sports shows and everything like that, and the big noon kickoffs. He looked energetic. He looked like himself again and everything like that. And when he get into that sideline grind, he doesn't look like himself. He doesn't look like he's having fun, but he looked like he was having a blast hanging out with Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart and Charles Woodson, ribbing him about Ohio State beating Michigan again and everything like that. Looked like he was having a blast. And, I always picture him as being a guy that would be in the GM's chair or whatever chair in a front office position, finding talent and helping teams draft players and everything like that, finding those hidden gems. That's what I thought he would be best at. And because that's what he was great at throughout his whole career as a college coach and everything like that. And obviously coaching the coaches and everything like that. I just can't understand why he would want to get back into the racket of coaching and that daily grind of coaching. As a talent evaluator and building a team, it's, I won't say an easy job, but never say that, but it just doesn't seem like a job that he was built for. And unfortunately, he won't be doing that. He'll be coaching on the sidelines. They're going to take a lot of losses this upcoming season. But like you said, if Trevor Lawrence looks like he's going to be the next coming of Peyton Manning, then it'll all be fine. Everything will be A-okay.
All right. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kevin Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. I'm not overreacting to preseason game results, but if you watched it last night, Trevor Lawrence didn't look comfortable. The offense didn't look comfortable. Urban Meyer did not look comfortable. And that's a telling sign that there's something going on. And that's not hating. That's just the reality of it. 518-1410, 518-1410. Kev, who we got?
We got James.
James, how are you, sir? Welcome.
Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Good. What you got for us, man?
So I had two things. One, so it's interesting, Kev, what you're talking about Urban Meyer and maybe, not coach and kind of go upstairs. I can remember listening a decade ago to Mike and Mike in the Morning. And after Lou Piniella was left the Reds, I think he got terminated, but they would bring him on the show and he'd be in his Hawaiian shirt and on Florida hanging out. And then he got back in managing ball clubs. I think he managed the Cubs and Rays after that. And Mike Greenberg was trying to say, like, why would you do that? You've been through this, man. You've got the whole thing. Why not just chill out and relax?
You're saying, why would he do that? Look, he's still a coach. It's hard. And by the way, I think if the Zach Smith thing never happens at Ohio State, I think he's still at Ohio State. I don't think Urban had planned on retiring when he did, or being done when he did. Like he still wanted to coach. He put the retirement thing on there to make it seem like what I think it was is Urban put the retirement label on it to give off the perception that he is in control of this, that he made this decision, when I don't think that was the case at all. So that was
what happened in Florida. What happened in Florida?
He retired twice. Retired again, right?
All right, exactly.
I'll tell you.
So
what
he left Florida.
Look, we know what happened
Okay,
at
go
both
ahead.
spots, but the point is that for and how many times do coaches get, do they mutually agree to part ways? That's done for perception issues to not tarnish the reputation of the coach. The teams and programs will give the coach the opportunity to announce that both sides are agreeing to, mutually go their separate ways. It's not like a divorce where you're trying to gut the other person for everything that they have. You try to go on peaceful terms. So Urban Meyer, by putting the retirement label on it, we all knew that's why no one believed that he was retiring, and he wouldn't give you the true answer of, Urban, have you coached your last game? I believe I've coached my last game. That was key. That was code for, oh no, definitely. I'll be on the sideline again somewhere at some point. But by letting him put the retirement label on it, that made the perception be, oh, I'm in control. I made this decision, and I will decide when I come back out. And I think that's really what it comes down to.
And it's not like that doesn't happen in the regular world. Like CEOs, businesses, major Fortune 500 companies, they do the exact same thing. They spin it for both the reasons. That's fine. But Kev, what were you going to say? Why did Urban leave Florida?
Oh, Jimbo Fisher started winning those recruiting battles and loaded Florida State up, and he couldn't get the guys that he wanted, and they were all going to Florida State. And Florida State went on a 3-year run where they dominated college football, and during that he couldn't get the guys that he needed to win games, so he bounced.
And if that's true, if he left because he was being out-recruited by Florida State and Jimbo Fisher, if that's a true statement, then he's a loser. I mean, who's going to be like, just back down because you're not getting your recruits and just quit? I mean,
he's one of the best coaches of all time. He's not a loser. He's one of the all-time greatest coaches. 3 national championships, 2 with 2 different programs. I mean, he's not a loser.
No.
He's not a Northwestern coach.
You're funny. What I'm saying is, I just don't believe that he quit Florida because he was getting out-recruited by Jimbo Fisher at Florida State. If that was his mentality, and if that was the reason, then that's a loser mentality, which I don't believe, actually, he had. I think there was other reasons, not because he's being out-recruited by Jimbo Fisher.
Old Jimbo, now in the SEC.
Yeah, good old Jimbo.
But, hey, James, we're out of time, man. I appreciate you calling. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, guys.
518-1410, 518-1410. Who we got, Kev?
Tennessee Jeff.
Tennessee Jeff, how are you, my friend?
Oh, maybe not.
Tennessee Jeff. Must be bad signal in Tennessee.
We got another one. Got another good one. We got McKinney, SEC commissioner.
The SEC commissioner himself. How are you, McKinney? We welcome you on.
Tremendous, my friend. Man, I'm glad to see that Kevin was able to find the breadcrumbs to find his way back to the studio. I didn't know if he was going to need a little white stick and a German Shepherd to make his way back to the board, but it's good to hear him back.
Thank you.
McKinney used to run them old boards right there. He used to
fill in for me when I go on another vacation.
He used to work them phones right there. He knows his way around the studio a little bit. He's a seasoned vet.
Exactly.
That seemed like forever ago, by the way, and I hope you're doing well. But what do you got for us? By the way, you're shaking things up in the college landscape. Look at you. Thanks to your conference, you've bullied everybody else. They're forming this little Cool Kids Alliance group that means absolutely nothing. I mean, it's embarrassing, this alliance thing. What's going on, McKinney?
Well, here's what's going on. To quote the great philosopher Wesley Snipes, "Oh, Benny, look at you now. That you will be hanging by your ankles over the bridge." There is no way that Urban did not look comfortable last night. You're playing an NFL game. That whole thing of like you've been there before. Well, he's never been there before. So it was all brand new. I like seeing all of them nervous. I like seeing them saying, man, we got like 20 days before this becomes real, boys. 20 days. And then you can start talking about Urban and what he can do and what he cannot do. I have enjoyed this preseason immensely.
You have?
I like watching. Oh, yeah. I like watching preseason because I like to see formation. I like to see what kind of things that they are bringing out. I love the Cincinnati Bengals preseason so far. Even though the wide receivers drop balls, I have no problem with that. Because what I've seen out of this squad is a defense that doesn't like all the publicity that the offense is getting, and they have their own attitude. And I absolutely love it. And that attitude is why there's so many SEC players on the Cincinnati Bengals. That's why there's so many SEC players in the NFL, because it just means more. All these other conferences want to join in. Yeah, because your players will get paid. The only reason that the NCAA has decided to do the name, image, and likeness thing is because they knew how much money they spent on lawsuits, not trying to allow these people to do that, instead of going ahead and pay these students/athletes. They need to pay those people. Now they have to.
And by the way, the SEC compliance directors, they sleep a lot better at night. They do. They don't have to worry about being caught for any of the stuff they were doing. They're the SEC compliance for each school. They're sleeping a lot better. That money's going over the table now instead of under.
Well, why go to the NFL and take a pay cut if you don't?
Exactly. Don't hate the player, hate the game. There you go. That's a prime example.
Exactly. You want to make sure that when you are doing these things, and the only thing, it is what happened when Texas was trying to recruit Nick Saban. And they were trying to figure out what was going to do before he signed to go to Alabama after he left LSU. And he got in the meeting, he said, I don't believe in T-Boone Pickens or anything like that. I run this show. Stood up and walked out of the room. Until people get that kind of attitude that there's so much money tied up in players, television rights, all of those things generate money. Having $10 million for Saban to coach at Alabama is a bargain. The multi-million, almost $1 billion that he directs toward that school every year, it's why he's worth every penny that he gets. And that's why it's important for everybody to, as Aaron Rodgers say, relax, because watch the waiver wires. At 4 o'clock today? Waiver wires come out. There are going to be people that are on there that are going to be steals. You don't have to wait draft picks and spend all kinds of guaranteed money. I've got somebody that's 5, 6, 7 years experience in the NFL, and I'm going to sign him off the waiver wires for 10% over league minimum. That's a deal. There are coaches there that will know how to, the players that they have recruited from high school and college, all of a sudden the guy comes up, that guy's available to be on my team. Let's see how he does as a pro. That's why you had several people. The other 2 quarterbacks who played for Jacksonville last night looked as good as Minshew.
Mm-hmm.
Watch the preseason. Watch the preseason. It's because it is going to tell you who is going to be available. Because a guy that you might love, by the time the season starts, he might be on somebody else's practice squad. And especially if I got to get players for my bench on my fantasy team. Oh, by the way, world, I'm getting back into fantasy this year. I took the year off for COVID, and now I'm going to come back, and I'm going to win a couple leagues.
A couple leagues? You can do multiple ones. There you go.
I'm going to do the NFL. I do Yahoo. And if you have one, I'm going to win that one too.
We'll be announcing that coming up. SEC Commissioner McKinney, great hearing from you. We'll talk soon.
You better. You guys have a great day. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. There you go. One of the many Bama fans that call into the SEC network. That is the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. We'll be back in a moment. Don't go anywhere. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash next.
Is the Justin